Lowe's Theaters welcomes you to the exciting world of the movies. Smoking is not permitted in this auditorium. As you exit the auditorium, please deposit litter in trash receptacles in the lobby, and don't talk during the show.
Whether you lived through them or just learned about them on Stranger Things, the 1980s were a peak decade for the movies. From Indiana Jones and Freddy Krueger to Axel Foley and Rain Man, the era produced so many iconic films, characters, franchises, and cinematic moments that we're still rebooting them to this day.
That's great! Actual physical contact!
We're taking you through all of the movies and Hollywood-related news and events of the 1980s, because this is Timeline Movies. Get ready for some evil empires, because this one is all about 1980. But before we get started, be sure to subscribe to the Weird History channel and let us know in the comments below about your favorite movies from the decade of wood paneling and VCRs. Now, are you ready to find out what was playing at the multiplex the year the star of Bedtime for Bonzo was elected president?
When that began to slide, I thought that maybe the world was going out just as I was getting in.
Kicking off the decade, Sherry Lansing was named president of 20th Century Fox Productions on January 1st. A former high school math teacher, model, actress, script reader, and studio executive, Lansing's appointment would make her the first woman to head a major Hollywood film studio. She resigned from the position 1 year later to form a production company that would eventually make iconic films like Fatal Attraction and The Accused.
There's an old saying, you give them a good movie, you can't keep them away.
From the Dorothy Chandler Pavilion in Los Angeles, California, the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences is proud to present the 52nd Annual Academy Award.
The Oscars that year were held on the 14th of April, televised live from Los Angeles and hosted by Johnny Carson. The night was dominated by the drama Kramer vs. Kramer, which won Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actor for Dustin Hoffman, and Best Supporting Actress for Meryl Streep.
Holy mackerel.
Other big winners included Sally Field, who took home Best Actress for Norma Ray, and Melvin Douglas, who won Best Supporting Actor for Being There.
Noise is the mortal enemy of good motion picture making. That is why I hired this particular house. It is deathly quiet.
Nicknamed the Master of Suspense, Alfred Hitchcock is now regarded as one of the most innovative and influential directors in film history, thanks to classic thrillers like Rear Window and Psycho.
You like all kinds of horror, don't you? Bad puns?
Not bad puns. Puns are the highest form of literature.
He made his last public appearance at the American Film Awards in March, before passing away from kidney failure in his Bel Air home on April 29th. Speaking of spine-tingling, the very first Friday the 13th film hit theaters a little over a week later on May 9th.
Goody camp blood, ain't ya? It's got a death curse.
Originally developed to cash in on the success of John Carpenter's Halloween, the ultra-low-budget horror film about a slasher terrorizing a group of summer camp counselors was an unexpected hit, although the series' iconic hockey-masked villain wouldn't debut until the sequel.
Han and the Princess's story didn't end with the destruction of the Death Star. It continues in The Empire Strikes Back.
I love you.
I know.
Audiences finally got their chance to return to a galaxy far, far away when The Empire Strikes Back landed in theaters on May 21st. The second installment in the original Star Wars trilogy ended on one of the most famous plot twists in the history of movies.
I am your father.
It finished the year as the highest-grossing film of 1980 and is still considered the best movie in the series.
Lando Carlson, I guess is how you pronounce his name. I believe he's a villain.
Speaking of iconic films, Stanley Kubrick's The Shining bashed its way into theaters 2 days later.
A little slow tonight, isn't it?
Now one of the most revered horror films in history, it was initially met with mixed reactions.
And there are an awful lot of things about that movie that I think are flawless and beautiful. There are other times when I feel as though I'd given Stanley Kubrick a live grenade and he heroically threw his body on it.
Even earning Kubrick a nomination for Worst Director at the very first Razzies.
The Shining, rated R, opens Friday, June 13. Check newspapers for local listing.
That same day, the 33rd Annual Cannes Film Festival ended when Bob Fosse's All That Jazz and Akira Kurosawa's Kagemusha tied for the festival's top prize, the coveted Palme d'Or. Both films would eventually win Academy Award nominations, but neither took home the Oscar. On June 9th, legendary comedian Richard Pryor was nearly killed after accidentally setting himself on fire while heavily under the influence.
When the reports came out in the paper, they were very apprehensive whether you were gonna make it.
I had a TV in my room and I hit the button and I turned it on and they said, Richard Pryor's dying.
But not only did he survive, he was back on stage making jokes about the incident within a year.
This one is straight to match like this. What's that? Richard Pryor running down the street.
It's 106 miles to Chicago. We got a full tank of gas, half a pack of cigarettes. It's dark, and we're wearing sunglasses. Hit it.
11 days later, the very first movie based on a Saturday Night Live sketch debuted in theaters. The Blues Brothers starred John Belushi and Dan Aykroyd as a pair of blues-obsessed siblings on a mission to save an orphanage from foreclosure.
We're on a mission from God.
The film was a huge hit, and its success would lead to almost a dozen more SNL sketch-based films by 2010.
I hate Illinois Nazis.
Speaking of classic comedies, the airline disaster spoof Airplane hit theaters 2 weeks later.
We have clearance, Clarence.
Roger, Roger. What's our vector, Victor?
Specifically lampooning the 1957 drama 0 Hour.
Cream? No, thank you. I take it black. Like my man.
Airplane made an unlikely comedy star out of dramatic actor Leslie Nielsen. Just
don't call me Shirley.
All of us here hope that you're going to have a wonderful time when you see our jolly, funny film. That at the same time, it's going to make a lot of money for you and us, don't we?
3 weeks later, actor Peter Sellers died of a heart attack in his London hotel room. Sellers appeared in classic films like Lolita.
It's great to see a normal face, because I'm a normal guy.
Dr. Strangelove.
Radioactivity would never penetrate a mine some thousands of feet deep.
And Being There.
Do you like to watch yourself in the movie?
I went last night to see Being There because I hadn't seen it with an audience. The audiences here are very sophisticated. They pick up very quickly, I notice, on little innuendo.
But despite all that, he's probably best remembered as Chief Inspector Clouseau in the Pink Panther movie series.
We must find that woman.
Exactly 1 day later, the now classic 80s comedy Caddyshack teed off in theaters. Based on writer/co-star Brian Doyle Murray's experiences as a caddy, the movie follows a bunch of misfits at a pompous upper-crust country club.
You buy a hat like this, I'll bet you get a free bowl of soup, huh? Oh, it looks good on you, though.
Directed by Harold Ramis, the endlessly quotable film also featured Chevy Chase, Bill Murray, and a gopher puppet named Mr. Gopher.
The SPCA is looking for you.
I think it's important that I show that everyone's capable of killing a gopher.
Playboy magazine's 1980 Playmate of the Year has been found shot to death, killed apparently by her estranged husband, who then killed himself.
On August 14th, model and actress Dorothy Stratton was brutally murdered by her ex-husband, Paul Snider. Stratton, best known as a Playboy playmate, was in the process of divorcing Snider when he lured her to their former Los Angeles home and killed her with a shotgun before turning the weapon on himself. The violent tragedy would become the basis for Bob Fosse's 1983 feature, Star 80. If you went to the movies on August 29th and caught an obscure slasher movie called He Knows You're Alone, then you saw the film debut of Tom Hanks. Great job!
The first actual appearance on camera I made was a movie called He Knows You're Alone. You remember the hack and slash period of filmmaking in which every movie had a knife rack?
Hanks played a minor role that was allegedly extended on set because producers liked him.
I always said that if this was Gilligan's Island, I would have played the professor. It was that bad a role.
Speaking of debuts, future Rush Hour star Jackie Chan made his Hollywood film debut in the martial arts comedy The Big Brawl, released on September 10th. Chan started his career as a child actor in 1962, before working as a stuntman for Bruce Lee, and he had been starring in Hong Kong action films since the 1970s. The Big Brawl, however, was quickly forgotten by American audiences, and Chan along with it. It would take another 15 years, but Chan would finally win over U.S. audiences on February 23, 1996, thanks to the American release of his 1995 Hong Kong action film, Rumble in the Bronx. Dubbed into English with the participation of Chan himself.
What's up? You got a problem?
The film premiered to cheering crowds at the Sundance Film Festival in January of 1996. It was #1 at the box office in its opening weekend, and Chan has been a star in America ever since. After meeting on the set of the 1978 sci-fi adventure Time After Time, actors Malcolm McDowell and Mary Steenburgen tied the knot on September 29, 1980. Yeah, we wouldn't have guessed that either. The couple would have 2 children before divorcing in 1990. Moving into November, Hollywood legend Steve McQueen made his last great escape after undergoing surgery to remove a cancerous tumor on the 7th. Known for his roles in iconic films like Bullet and The Magnificent Seven, McQueen had flown to Mexico and checked into a hospital under an assumed name to receive the surgery after being warned by his doctors that it wouldn't work. He died in his sleep, surrounded by family.
Mexico is showing the world this new way of fighting cancer through non-specific metabolic therapies. God bless you all. Steve McQueen.
And November 19th saw the release of the notorious Western Heaven's Gate. The film was loaded with stars like Chris Christopherson, Christopher Walken, John Hurt, and Jeff Bridges.
The association's got a death list, and your name's on it.
But audiences didn't care.
And for the next 2 hours, we have to suffer through one boring and sometimes laughable conversation after another, interspersed with meaningless activities like a roller skating party and a baseball game.
The movie recouped just $3 million of its $44 million budget, making it one of the biggest bombs in Hollywood history.
2 great big no votes on Heaven's Gate, the confusing, aimless, and extremely dusty Western by Michael Cimino.
Wouldn't be the year's only big loser. The Apple, a sci-fi disco musical about a pop star who signs with an evil record company in a dystopian 1994. Written and directed by infamous 80s schlockmeister Menachem Golan, the film was a massive flop upon release and is still considered one of the worst movies ever made. The next day, Hollywood icon Mae West died after suffering a debilitating stroke just 3 months earlier.
When I'm good, I'm very good. But when I'm bad, I'm better.
A towering presence in Hollywood during the 1920s and 30s, West was one of film's first sex symbols, known for playing sexually confident women and for pushing back against the era's prudish censors. Going into December, Robert Altman's Popeye premiered at Mann's Chinese Theater on December the 6th, starring Robin Williams in his major movie debut as the title character.
Do you have any preconceived notion of how you're going to do Popeye?
Work on some man's helping with voice. It's a lot of...
That's mean.
Is that the voice?
Not yet.
What am I? Some kind of barnacle on the thing of your life?
An adaptation of the long-running comic strip and cartoon, the film's surreal qualities confounded audiences at the time.
I said fooey, and I mean fooey. Fooey.
But today, it's considered an imaginative cult classic. After all, he is what he is.
20th Century Fox presents a tribute to anyone who has ever been overworked, underpaid, and pushed to the edge by an ungrateful boss.
I'm no girl, I'm a woman. I am your employee, and as such, I expect to be treated equally.
By 1980, Dolly Parton was already a massive country music star. But the December 19th release of the workplace comedy 9 to 5 proved she was a movie star as well. Co-starring Jane Fonda and Lily Tomlin as 3 women who hold their sexist boss hostage, it was the year's second highest grossing film, surpassed only by The Empire Strikes Back. Finally, the Martin Scorsese sports drama Raging Bull was released that same day. The movie, which was based on the autobiography of boxer Jake LaMotta, featured an almost unrecognizable Robert De Niro. It polarized critics and struggled at the box office, but is now regarded as an all-time classic.
A lot of bad things, Joey. Maybe it's coming back to me.
And one of both Scorsese's and De Niro's best films. And with that, the bell was rung on 1980.
Has anybody got any weapons?
Yeah, we got swords, clubs, knives.
It's the same old problem. What keeps me from pulling the gun out?
I think it all happens so quick.
The 80s are a virtual treasure trove of movie nostalgia, and 1981 was no exception.
Do you really think so?
It gave us classic comedies like Time Bandits and Stripes.
Razzle dazzle!
Classic dramas like On Golden Pond and Chariots of Fire, and even a great Muppet caper. All that, plus the long-awaited return of Smell-O-Vision. There are just way too many beloved films from 1981 for us to name.
I'm too tired. Maybe later.
We're taking you through all of the best movie and Hollywood-related news and events of the 1980s. This is Timeline Movies. And since 1981 was when the Cannonball Run was released, we'll try to do this fast. Now, are you ready to find out what was going on in the movies the year the first DeLorean rolled off the assembly line?
I like it. It began as an idea. A video camera and VHS recorder, all in one.
JVC and Sony kicked off the year on January 9th by demonstrating the world's first camcorders in Las Vegas, Nevada, at the annual Consumer Electronics Show. The product wouldn't actually become commercially available until 1983, but once it did, holidays and dance recitals would never be the same.
When this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're gonna see some serious.
Somewhere in these woods lies an experience too terrifying for words.
Joe Dante's slapstick horror mystery, The Howling, hit theaters on March 13th.
Rick Baker, who worked on the picture initially, came up with these kind of masks that would elongate. The only reason Rick was doing our picture was because John Landis and he had been planning to do a picture called American Werewolf in London, and John had never actually done it.
The movie tells the story of a reporter who finds herself at a resort occupied by one or possibly several werewolves.
I have silver bullets in here.
Silver bullets, Myers.
It was only a moderate box office success, but it became a cult classic and kicked off a franchise that would eventually include 7 sequels and a comic book series. Meanwhile, Joe Dante would go on to direct other 80s gems like Gremlins and Inner Space.
Hello, can you hear me? I'm possessed!
Stealing away to the end of the month, Michael Mann's classic crime thriller Thief broke into theaters on the 31st, starring James Caan as a safecracker trying to go legit and boasting a radical soundtrack by Tangerine Dream.
My more programmatic, kind of formalist approach is that the film will benefit from the abstraction of electronic score, and I decided to go to Tangerine Dream.
The movie was Mann's first outing as a writer and director after years of success on television.
I am the last guy in the world that you want to with.
He would later go on to create Miami Vice, as well as a number of other popular crime thrillers like Heat and Collateral.
Time for everyone's annual Oscar predictions. And in the Best Picture category, there can be only one winner, and that is Tess, because Hollywood hasn't had a good party since Roman Polanski left.
After being delayed a day due to the attempted assassination of Ronald Reagan, really? Only a day?
After all, you must remember this is a man who yesterday, while he was in the hospital unable to speak, wrote on a sheet of paper, "All things considered, I'd rather be in Philadelphia."
The 53rd Academy Awards went ahead on March 31st. The evening was dominated by the drama Ordinary People, which won Best Adapted Screenplay, Best Supporting Actor for Timothy Hutton, Best Director for Robert Redford, and Best Picture. Other winners included Best Actor Robert De Niro for his role in Raging Bull, Best Actress Sissy Spacek for Coal Miner's Daughter, and Best Supporting Actress Mary Steenburgen for Melvin and Howard.
Well, I'm gonna have to figure out something new to dream about, that's for sure.
Superman 2, the sequel to Richard Donner's 1978 hit Superman, which starred Christopher Reeve as the eponymous hero.
Well, I've been working out.
Soared into theaters on April 9th. Despite a change in directors from Donner to Richard Lester, the film, which found the Man of Steel battling Lex Luthor and 3 Kryptonian supercriminals, drew praise from critics and audiences alike, and taught us all the phrase,
"Kneel before Zod!"
Just over a month later, on May 16th, MGM sent shockwaves through Hollywood when it purchased United Artists for roughly $250 million in cash. Founded in 1919 by Hollywood legends Charlie Chaplin, D.W. Griffith, Mary Pickford, and Douglas Fairbanks, UA's film library included some of the most famous movies in history, including Casablanca, The Maltese Falcon, West Side Story, Rocky, the Pink Panther series, and 12 James Bond films. 2 weeks later, self-appointed king of bad taste John Waters revived a bygone theater gimmick known as Smell-O-Vision for the May 29th release of his comedy Polyester.
Odorama will enable you, the viewer, to actually smell right from your movie seat.
Prior to the film, viewers received a card with 10 numbered areas. The film would then flash a number on the screen, prompting viewers to scratch and sniff the corresponding area at the appropriate time.
You get it? You smell it? It works!
The cards included scents like flowers, gasoline, and, believe it or not, feces.
Oh,
We did say it was a John Waters film. On June 8, 1981, Denver-based oil baron Marvin Davis shelled out just over $700 million to acquire 20th Century Fox. Just 3 years later, however, Davis would sell an interest in the studio to Australian publishing mogul Rupert Murdoch's News Corp, who would then buy out Davis's remaining interest in 1985, making Fox the last of Hollywood's major Golden Age studios to be acquired by an outside corporation. By 1981, Mel Brooks was already a comedy icon, so Hollywood insiders expected audiences to line up for his latest movie, The History of the World Part 1, released on June 12th.
Occupation, stand-up philosopher. I coalesce the vapor of human experience into a viable and logical comprehension.
Oh, a bullshit artist.
Despite being greeted by mixed reviews and disappointing box office returns, it still wound up becoming one of the decade's most iconic comedies, thanks to Brooks' ability to turn any situation into a gag.
The Lord Jehovah has given unto you these 15... Wait. 10 commandments!
If adventure has a name, it must be Indiana Jones. And the world got to meet Indy for the first time on June 12th, when Raiders of the Lost Ark came crash rolling into theaters. Directed by Steven Spielberg, produced by George Lucas, and starring Harrison Ford, the film, which would later be renamed Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark, was a rip-roaring homage to the adventure serials of Hollywood's golden age.
Snakes. Why did it have to be snakes? In the famous shot of me facing the Cobra, you can barely see a reflection on the sheet of glass that was between myself and the Cobra.
We need about 7,000 snakes in addition to the 2,000 we have here to make it work.
It would finish as the year's #1 movie, while launching one of the most successful and beloved franchises in movie history. On May 18, 2023, roughly 42 years after the release of Raiders, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny made its debut at the Cannes Film Festival. Directed by James Mangold, the sequel found its hero coming out of retirement to retrieve a powerful artifact that can alter time. The movie, which was meant to serve as something of a swan song for Harrison Ford's version of the character, received mixed to positive reviews and failed to break even at the box office.
The myth, the magic, the mystery, the majesty. Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer presents Clash of the Titans.
June 12th brought the release of Clash of the Titans, a mythological adventure film that was the last movie to include special effects work by the legendary Ray Harryhausen. And even he thought it looked a little old-fashioned compared to slick new blockbusters like Empire Strikes Back and Superman.
And this model is made in such a way that it has many joints.
Even down to the fingers?
Even down to the fingers, and each snake has a joint.
Nonetheless, the film, which starred Harry Hamlin, Burgess Meredith, and Laurence Olivier, finished as the 11th highest grosser of the year and is now regarded as an 80s classic. And on July 10th, the now classic sci-fi action-adventure Escape from New York landed in theaters. Directed by John Carpenter, the movie presented a dystopian near future where the island of Manhattan had become a prison.
Truly have a problem with authority. Any chance I can get to belittle authority, I love to do it.
Kurt Russell, previously known as a child star, played the swaggering hero, Snake Plissken.
Call me Snake.
And the film's massive box office success completely changed his image.
I had a conversation one time, I remember, about no man being an island. We both vehemently disagree with that. Some men are islands. Snake Plissken is that island.
Even Tom Cruise had to start somewhere. And that somewhere was in the romantic drama Endless Love, released on July 17th. Directed by Franco Zeffirelli and starring Brooke Shields, the film, in which Cruise played a minor role, struck out with critics.
I lit a whole pile of newspapers. You ever try to light a whole pile of wet newspapers?
Nonetheless, it turned out to be a box office success. And its theme song, recorded by Lionel Richie, spent 9 weeks at #1, scoring an Oscar nomination for Best Original Song.
This is the story of two young American students traveling through England on a night of the full moon.
But you don't understand what's going on. I understand, all right. You're one of the undead, and I'm a werewolf. Yes, that's right.
Hot off the success of 1980's The Blues Brothers, John Landis pivoted to directing the horror comedy An American Werewolf in London, released on August 21st. The film's famous transformation sequence was accomplished using surreal makeup effects designed by the now legendary Rick Baker.
We made what we called change-o heads and change-o hands, which were
prop likeness that actually physically had a mechanism inside that would distort it into a different shape. So we went to a urethane elastomer that we could plasticize, and it made this very stretchy, flesh-like material.
And his efforts won him the first ever competitive Academy Award for Best Makeup. Released September 16th, Mommy Dearest was a biographical drama about the childhood of Christina Crawford, daughter of legendary actress Joan Crawford. The film, which starred Faye Dunaway as Joan, immediately became infamous for a graphic scene that depicted the actress whipping her daughter with a wire hanger and screaming,
No wire hangers!
Christina Crawford said the incident was entirely fictional, but the line became part of the zeitgeist, like,
Show me the money!
And
I'm the king of the world!
now widely regarded as one of Hollywood's best actors, Denzel Washington got his big screen start in the comedy Carbon Copy, which hit theaters 9 days later on September 25th. The film starred George Segal as a rich white businessman who learns he has a 17-year-old black son, played by Washington.
It's just too much of a shock for me to accept you as her son.
Well, if that's too much of a shock for you, you're liable to go into a coma when you get behind this. Hi, Daddy.
The movie was the first original film produced by RKO Studios in 23 years. But despite launching Washington's career, it struck out with both critics and audiences.
Carbon Copy. Any resemblance between father and son is purely hysterical.
Imagine a movie where two middle-aged men sit in a restaurant having a long, meandering philosophical conversation.
I mean, are we just like bored, spoiled children who've just been lying in the bathtub all day?
But has it ever occurred to you, Wally, that the process that creates this boredom that we see in the world now may very well be a self-perpetuating, unconscious form of brainwashing?
And now imagine that movie was a massive hit. That improbable situation occurred on October 11th, when My Dinner with Andre released in theaters. A quirky drama written by and starring Andre Gregory and Wallace Shawn, the unusual film is now regarded as a bona fide classic and has been parodied in media like The Far Side comic strip, The Simpsons,
Thirsting for a way to name the unnameable, to express the inexpressible.
Tell me more.
Family Guy, and even Frasier. The idea of a human character made with CGI is old hat these days. But when Looker was released on October 30th, it was virtually unheard of. Looker, which dropped a few months before Disney's Tron, was the first to employ a computer-generated 3D model of a person. That model was used to represent an in-universe computer graphic, rather than an actual human character. So it wasn't quite Gollum in Lord of the Rings, or even Jar Jar Binks. Nonetheless, it was a groundbreaking use of digital effects that paved the way for future effects blockbusters like Jurassic Park. Finally, Mad Max 2 careened the black-on-black into Australian theaters on Christmas Eve. Now considered one of the best action movies ever made, the film's American distributor renamed it The Road Warrior, because the original had never officially been released in the US. And to be totally honest, it's a better title.
I'm gravely disappointed. Again, you have made me unleash my total support.
The Road Warrior was a smash hit in both countries, setting its lead, Mel Gibson, on the path to superstardom.
Not every great movie or great arcade game makes a great home video game. That's why when Mattel Electronics turned Tron into Tron Home Video Games, we made sure the excitement of Tron gameplay found its way into your home.
1982 was going to be the nerdiest year of film anyone had ever seen, as pulp genre films took over the mainstream in a major way. Most of the world would get their first look at computer-generated special effects in Tron. A weirdly fleshy alien would capture hearts around the entire world, a different fleshy alien would try to take over the world, a blade would run, and Conan would barbarian. Honestly, it was hard to imagine what other movies could do to compete.
The hell with you.
Plus, there were some pretty good dramas for all the grown-ups, and one of the darkest animated films ever made, for the kids who were too young to go see Poltergeist. We're taking you through all of the best movie-related news and events of the 1980s. This is Timeline Movies. We're keeping a close eye on everyone in this Arctic research base, because this episode is all about 1982. Now, are you ready to find out what was going on in movies the year Star Wars was released on VHS?
Not the last few hours.
On March 2nd, Columbia Pictures, CBS, and HBO teamed up to form Nova Pictures. Unfortunately for them, however, The name created some confusion with the popular PBS show Nova, so the studio quickly changed its name to TriStar Pictures. TriStar's first release would be the poorly received 1984 comedy Where the Boys Are, 84, but would cement itself with blockbusters like Rambo, First Blood Part 2, Look Who's Talking, Terminator 2, Judgment Day, and Basic Instinct. That same day, Barry Levinson's film debut, Diner, was ordered up in theaters.
If you don't want to give him the sandwich,
I don't want to give it.
Well, then just eat the sandwich. You know what your problem is? You don't chew your food. That's why you get so irritable.
I realized that he was, as a director, opening up the floodgates for improv.
I try to find a way what you might call like sort of controlled freedom. It seems to be very loose, but I know where I want it to go.
It's just we got nothing to talk about. But it's good, it's good.
The future Rain Man director's debut film follows 6 childhood friends coping with the struggles of young adulthood in the 1950s, and features breakout stars like Daniel Stern, Kevin Bacon, Mickey Rourke, Paul Reiser, Timothy Daley, and Steve Guttenberg.
Comic actor John Belushi died today at a rented hotel bungalow in the Hollywood Hills. Authorities say the cause of death is believed to have been a heart attack.
On March 5th, Saturday Night Live legend John Belushi was found dead at the Chateau Marmont in Los Angeles, having suffered a fatal overdose. Kathy Smith ultimately served 15 months in prison for supplying the 33-year-old comedian with the narcotics that ended his life. On March 15, 1982, Raging Bull actress Teresa Saldana was brutally attacked at her Los Angeles home by a stalker who had tracked her down using a private investigator. Saldana, who spent 4 months recovering, played herself in a TV movie about the incident and spent the rest of her life raising awareness about stalking before passing away in 2016. Later on in the month, the film adaptation of the smash hit Broadway musical Annie was left on the doorstep of theaters on March 21st.
It's my idea to have an orphan for a week, Mr. Warbucks, even if it's only for your image.
Despite being only a modest success compared to the musical, Annie has been adapted several more times over the years with Oscar-winning stars like Kathy Bates and Jamie Foxx.
This is the 54th year of this award show, and coincidentally, this is the 54th award show of this year. I don't know about you, but I think we ought to get together next month after the Popcorn Manufacturer's Golden Bucket Awards and cool it for a while.
And March 29th brought the 54th Academy Awards, which were hosted for the 4th consecutive year by Tonight Show host Johnny Carson. Despite big wins for John Gielgud, Maureen Stapleton, Katharine Hepburn, and Warren Beatty, the biggest winner of the night was
Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Raiders of the Lost Ark.
which took home 5 awards. After its March 16th premiere in Madrid, Conan the Barbarian opened in the U.S. on May 14th.
Valor pleases you, Crom. So grant me one request. Grant me revenge.
Based on the pulp hero created by Robert E. Howard, the movie starred little-known Arnold Schwarzenegger. The film divided critics like a broadsword, but it was a box office success and turned Schwarzenegger into a bankable star. 5 days later, actress Sophia Loren began serving a 17-day sentence at a women's prison in Caserta, Italy, for tax evasion. Loren would later tell the press she felt comforted by the support she received from fans, as well as celebrities like Burt Reynolds, who jokingly offered to get the mafia to break her out.
Officials hint she may not have to serve the entire sentence, but it's not hard time. The jail is run by nuns, has no bars.
Beyond the darkness, beyond the human evolution, is Khan.
Kirk, you're still alive, my old friend.
Still, old friend.
And on June 4th, the Federation ship Enterprise soared back into theaters with the release of Star Trek: The Wrath of Khan. A direct sequel to the 1967 Star Trek episode Space Seed, Wrath of Khan was a massive box office success and revitalized the franchise after the lackluster reaction to 1979 Star Trek: The Motion Picture.
This was the best Star Trek that I've ever seen. The characters were really back to the old episodes. It had action, it had humor, it had love. All of those things thrown in that we've been missing all these years, and even more so now.
And I wish to go on hurting you.
That same day, Poltergeist spirited its way into theaters and turned the phrase, "They're here," into some of the creepiest words in movie history.
They're here.
Helmed by Texas Chainsaw Massacre creator Tobe Hooper and produced by Steven Spielberg, the special effects blockbuster spawned 3 sequels and a 2015 reboot.
I don't care what the president says, he's my best friend, and you can't take him away.
Okay, kid, you got the job.
The summer of Spielberg continued exactly 1 week later with the release of E.T., the Extraterrestrial, on June 11th.
E.T. home phone.
E.T. phone home.
Oh my God, he's talking.
The film, about a young boy who befriends an alien stranded on Earth, became a cultural phenomenon and was the most successful movie of all time until it was surpassed by another Spielberg movie, Jurassic Park.
It's hard to believe that the Academy has been in existence for 54 years. If Columbia had put only $2,000 a year into an IRA plan, they wouldn't have had to sell out to Coca-Cola.
On June 22nd, the Coca-Cola Company shelled out $750 million to buy Columbia Pictures, ensuring that its flagship product would be featured in classics like Tootsie, The Karate Kid, and Ghostbusters.
All taken care of by the good people over at Columbia Pictures, subsidiary of Coca-Cola.
So, if you were ever wondering why so many people drink Coke in your favorite 80s movies, it wasn't just because Coke is delicious. Nonetheless, in 1987, they spun the studio off as its own company, and by 1989, Coke was pretty much out of it entirely. 3 days later, Ridley Scott's classic sci-fi noir, Blade Runner, released in theaters on the 25th to little fanfare.
Commerce is our goal here at Tyrell. More human than human is our motto.
Starring Harrison Ford as a futuristic detective tracking violent androids, the film was a box office failure and almost disappeared like tears in rain. Now considered one of the most influential science fiction movies ever made, Blade Runner finally received a big-budget sequel in 2017. July kicked off with a spooky note with The Secret of Nim, a dark animated feature about a field mouse who teams up with a colony of laboratory rats to rescue her son.
Please, sir. I'll do anything to save Timmy.
Go to the rats.
It was the first film directed by animator Don Bluth, who had left Disney Animation with a team of colleagues after growing frustrated with Disney's bureaucracy and sought to recapture the studio's former magic in his own productions.
With The Secret of Nim, we're trying to tell a very definite story that has a little bit of bite in it. It does worry you. The story may scare you just a little bit.
But while Nim drew mixed to positive reviews, it only barely broke even at the box office.
The NCOM 511 computer. Within it, there exists an unknown civilization where man has never been.
Disney responded 7 days later with the visually groundbreaking sci-fi adventure Tron. Directed by Steven Lisberger and starring Jeff Bridges, the movie, which followed a computer programmer sucked into the software-based world inside of a computer, was one of the first to make extensive use of computer animation. Its visuals wowed audiences and critics alike.
We made X number of high-con positives and negatives. For each live-action character, an exposure for the main body, there was an exposure for the circuits, there was an exposure for the whites of the eyes, roughly 5 passes.
But its convoluted story left most viewers confused. Nonetheless, Tron became a cult classic and has since spawned 2 sequels and an animated TV series.
I wear this helmet all day long, and it seems to bring peace to me.
Pink Floyd's 1979 album, The Wall, was a mega-hit concept album about a musician going slowly insane, so the movie version was inevitable. Directed by Alan Parker, the movie, which was essentially a feature-length music video, hit theaters on July 14th. The unusual film was described by Roger Ebert as
one of the most horrifying musicals of all time.
And he saw a lot of movies. Nonetheless, it met with positive reviews, performed well at the box office, and is now considered a cult classic.
A helicopter crash near Magic Mountain today brought tragedy to the set of the Steven Spielberg movie, The Twilight Zone. Actor Vic Morrow and 2 small children were killed when the chopper came down as they were shooting a war scene.
Just over 2 weeks later, the most infamous disaster in filmmaking history struck the set of The Twilight Zone, the movie. Late at night on July 23rd, a helicopter crashed on set, ending the life of actor Vic Morrow, as well as child actors Renee Shin-Yi Chen and Micah Dinley.
But I didn't know it happened, like things happen like that. Even pay me the whole money, I will never let my children be in that kind of film.
I know in my head and I know in my heart that we did not cause this accident.
Director John Landis, along with several others, would be charged with involuntary manslaughter in connection with the deaths, but was ultimately acquitted. On August 13th, the classic 80s coming-of-age comedy Fast Times at Ridgemont High was revealed in theaters. The movie followed a group of students navigating their awkward high school social scene.
It says 100% guaranteed, you moron! Mister, if you don't shut up, I'm gonna kick 100% of your ass!
And featured future stars like Jennifer Jason Leigh, Judge Reinhold, Phoebe Cates, and Sean Penn, and was written by future Almost Famous filmmaker Cameron Crowe while spending a year undercover at a real-life high school. Moving into the fall, if you happen to catch the largely forgotten comedy Lookin' to Get Out, which was released on October 8, then you saw the film debut of future megastar Angelina Jolie.
Where are you from, honey?
Las Vegas, Nevada.
The 7-year-old actress made a brief appearance as the daughter of the character played by her real-life father, John Voight.
Your daddy's he's a nice man.
You are too.
When Sylvester Stallone saw the first cut of 1982's First Blood, he was so sure the movie would end his career, he offered to buy it from the studio so he could destroy it.
Originally, it was 3 hours long. I stayed an hour and a half in the woods chasing guys. And then there'd be lines like the cop pulls me over and he goes, "Where do you think you're going?" I go, "Did you ever see Easy Rider?" "Yeah." "Well, yeah, I'm Easy Walker."
Lucky for him, cooler heads prevailed, because that movie, released on October 22nd, turned out to be a huge hit. The 13th highest grosser of 1982, First Blood made pissed-off Vietnam veteran John Rambo into an American icon.
There wouldn't be no trouble except for that king cop.
Well, you did some pushing of your own, John.
They drew First Blood, not me.
While launching a franchise that would eventually include 5 movies and an animated series. 37 years later, Stallone put the headband on one final time for Rambo: Last Blood, released on September 20th, 2019. The film, which found its hero trying to save a loved one from Mexican drug cartels, drew negative reviews. It may indeed turn out to be Rambo's last adventure. 1 month later, the blockbuster biopic Gandhi was released in theaters. The epic was based on the life of Indian lawyer Mohandas Gandhi, who helped lead the Indian independence movement against the British in the early 20th century.
We think it is time you recognized that you are masters in someone else's home.
Directed by Richard Attenborough and starring Ben Kingsley, it was nominated for 11 Academy Awards, ultimately winning 8, including Best Actor, Director, and Picture. On December 8th, Saturday Night Live star Eddie Murphy made his screen debut alongside Nick Nolte in the gritty buddy cop action comedy 48 Hours.
It's not a completely serious role. I do some cute things in the movie.
There's a new sheriff in town.
The hit film, which found Murphy playing a convict forced to team up with a cop to catch a killer, wasn't the first buddy cop movie, but it is credited with popularizing the genre. And it launched Murphy's career as a movie star.
It's Billy D. Williams' time in this picture, ladies and gentlemen.
That same day, the decidedly less funny film Sophie's Choice was released in theaters. The gut-wrenching drama stars Meryl Streep as a Polish immigrant carrying a dark secret about her imprisonment in Auschwitz.
Du kannst eins von den Kindern behalten.
Wie bitte?
And is still considered one of the most impactful movies about the Holocaust to date. On December 17th, Sidney Pollack's gender-bending comedy Tootsie hit screens.
You want some gross caricature of a woman to prove some idiotic point like power makes women masculine or masculine women are ugly? Well, shame on the woman that lets you do that, on any woman that lets you do that.
Starring Dustin Hoffman as a struggling actor who disguises himself as a woman in order to get a part on a soap opera, the groundbreaking movie satirized sexism in the entertainment industry as well as in society at the time.
I'm Edward Kimberly, the reckless brother of my sister Anthea.
That is one nutty hospital.
Finally, Ned Tannen closed out the year by resigning as president of Universal Pictures on December 27th. Tannen supervised some of the studio's biggest hits, including classics like Jaws and E.T., and he is the namesake of Back to the Future villain Biff Tannen. He didn't go far, though. Tannen started a production company that made 80s classics like 16 Candles and St. Elmo's Fire, and in 1984 became president of Paramount Pictures.
Like all Bond films, it attracts the world's press. I don't expect you to give away the plot, but what's it about?
It's about this agent called James Bond, who is licensed to kill, and his code number is 007.
Oh, we know all that.
1983 was an important year for film, And not just because it was the year a film called Octopussy was in the theaters, and we all pretended that wasn't weird.
And because it's Bond, there are lots of octopuses.
3 different Stephen King movies scared up tickets, clinching his reputation as the most popular horror figure of the decade.
The ice is gonna break!
And the biggest film franchise of all time came to a close for the first time. We're taking you through all of the best movie-related news and events of the 1980s. This is Timeline Movies. We're working hard for the money because this one is all about 1983. Now, are you ready to find out what was going on in movies the year what we now call the internet officially went online?
Sit back, get some corn, and it's movie time.
On February 11th, the Rolling Stones took their act to cinemas with the concert film Let's Spend the Night Together.
It's not a, handheld sort of rock and roll movie. It's much more produced, glossy Hollywood film than previous.
Assembled from footage shot over 2 concerts, the movie is now widely regarded as one of the best concert films of all time. And March 25th brought the release of the Francis Ford Coppola-directed coming-of-age drama, The Outsiders. The story of 2 rival gangs duking it out in Tulsa, Oklahoma in 1965.
Now, I'd like to say a few words about the Rumble tonight. What's going on?
You had all the rain. So cold. When we would turn off the rain machines, you could just see the steam coming off of Tom and Patrick and all those kids.
The movie's incredible cast featured C. Thomas Howell, Emilio Estevez, Matt Dillon, Tom Cruise, Patrick Swayze, Ralph Macchio, and Rob Lowe in his film debut.
God damn you guys, leave me out of it!
Credited with kicking off the Brat Pack genre, the film was met by mixed reviews, but has since become a cult classic, spawning a TV series and even a Broadway musical.
Nothing gold can stay.
Morning, how it's being eaten. You see? Makes you think, doesn't it? I mean, what's it all about?
By 1983, the British comedy troupe Monty Python already had an iconic TV show, as well as a series of hit movies. And on March 31st, they released the sketch comedy film The Meaning of Life. Due to the death of Graham Chapman in 1989, the movie, which placed 6th at the box office in its opening weekend, would be the final film to feature all 6 members of the group.
Salmon mousse. Darling, you didn't use canned salmon, did you?
It's Oscar time. Custom dictates that we explain the voting procedures.
All active Academy members may vote on nominations for the 5 pictures of the year, or the nominations made by members of each Academy branch. For example, writers nominate writers, achievements of the year, actors nominate actors, directors nominate directors, etc.
2 weeks later, the 55th Academy Awards were team-hosted by actors Walter Matthau, Liza Minnelli, Dudley Moore, and Richard Pryor. Winners on the night included Louis Gossett Jr. for An Officer and a Gentleman, Jessica Lange for Tootsie, and Best Actress Meryl Streep for Sophie's Choice.
Get that.
My speech.
No, it's your speech there. Okay, short speech.
But the big winner was Gandhi, which earned Best Director for Richard Attenborough, Best Actor for Ben Kingsley, and Best Picture.
I thought the show really went off very well. I thought it was one of the most beautifully mounted shows. To me, that's entertainment.
And the music starts and you feel it. Body just moves. There's something inside of you that just clicks and you're gone. It's like you're somebody else for a while.
4 days later, the decade-defining movie Flashdance was released. Despite being savaged by critics, the MTV-influenced movie, which was the first production of legendary Hollywood producing team Don Simpson and Jerry Bruckheimer, would finish as 1983's 3rd highest-grossing film, produce a chart-topping soundtrack, and wind up being regarded as one of the decade's most influential movies.
Flashdance. If a dream comes true just one time, it can change your life for all time.
First, understand, there's this valley, the San Fernando Valley. In the valley, of course, they're girls. And like all teenage girls, they talk. But as scholars of the language note, in a most peculiar way.
What happened to my zitzing gets so dirty? Like your party was super novel. Man, he's just like tripendicular, you know?
Finishing out the month, the teen romantic comedy Valley Girl hit theaters on April 29th. The movie stars Deborah Foreman and Nicolas Cage as a Valley Girl and a punk who fall in love and sought to capitalize on the 80s Valley Girl fad.
I know what this is. It's your friends, right? off for sure. Like, totally.
Powered by positive reviews, the movie did well at the box office and is now regarded as a cult classic. In 2016, MGM announced it was remaking Valley Girl, with Happy Death Day's Jessica Rothe in the title role. The movie was planned for a 2018 release, but wound up being shelved because of the controversial behavior of co-star Logan Paul. Instead, it was quietly released to streaming services in 2020. Released that same day, the erotic horror flick featuring David Bowie and Catherine Deneuve as a vampire couple seeking help from a scientist played by Susan Sarandon. It received mixed reviews.
When the hunger hurts so much you've lost all reason, then you have to feed. And then you need me to show you how.
But performed well at the box office and launched the career of Tony Scott, who would go on to make genre favorites like Top Gun, True Romance, and Enemy of the State. Just over 3 weeks later, the first ever made-for-cable movie, The Terry Fox Story, premiered on HBO on May 22nd. A biopic about the life of amputee marathon runner Terry Fox, the film would eventually receive a limited theatrical release in Fox's home country of Canada. The final chapter of the original Star Wars trilogy dropped in theaters on May 25th to kick off the summer movie season.
3 years in the making. We're waiting for this.
People like to dream. People enjoy the fantasy.
The highly awaited Return of the Jedi introduced the world to Jabba the Hutt, Ewoks, and green lightsabers, and it would easily finish as the year's highest-grossing film, almost tripling the returns of the second highest grosser, Terms of Endearment.
Shall we play a game?
How can I talk?
Let's play global thermonuclear war.
In 1983, barely anyone had even heard of the internet. That all changed after War Games was released on June 3rd.
In the movie, Matthew Broderick had to actually scan the phone number that he needed to get access to download his game that he was after.
That is known as war dialing, where he would just have his computer dial looking for a modem on the other end. What was not accurate about the movie in 1983 was that most schools at that time didn't have computers with modems connected to this thing we now know as the internet.
The film, which featured Matthew Broderick as a high school kid who almost starts a nuclear war after unwittingly breaking into military computers, is largely credited with popularizing the idea of computer hacking and taught us all that when it comes to the game of war, the only winning move is not to play. And June 8th brought the release of the John Landis-directed comedy Trading Places. The movie featured Eddie Murphy as a con artist who switches lives with Dan Aykroyd's stuck-up wealthy commodities broker.
Dukes ruined my life over a bet. For how much? $1.
The well-received film cleaned up at the box office and is still regarded as one of the decade's funniest comedies, despite its infamous blackface bit.
Hello, security. Merry Christmas.
By 1983, arcade games were a major cultural phenomenon, so it was inevitable that they would begin to attract real Hollywood talent. And one of the first to do so was Dragon's Lair, released June 19th. The game, which followed the adventures of a knight called Dirk the Daring, was really more of an interactive movie, featuring film-quality animation by animator Don Bluth, a former Disney employee who had released The Secret of Nim the year before.
Now we're taking Hollywood and the screenwriters and we're putting them hand in hand. We'll now work on what will be in the arcade market. And that's why I think you'll find something that is tremendously more exciting, something that will pull you into the screen like you haven't been pulled before.
That animation was facilitated by early Laserdisc technology, which made the highly successful game difficult to port to other platforms. Not that they didn't try.
Scotch? Not during working hours. Oh, I'm sorry, pal.
I'm gonna rip these walls out and, of course, rewire it.
You guys gonna make it all 220?
Yeah, 220, 221, whatever it takes.
Long before he was Batman, Michael Keaton was Mr. Mom. The movie, which dropped on July 22nd, told the story of an automotive engineer who loses his job
Heard you got fired. You're not a bum, are you, Daddy?
No, but I'm working on it.
and is forced to become a stay-at-home dad.
Now look, run, Kenny! Run!
While his wife, played by Terry Garr, returns to the workforce.
Oh, cow. What you use, 38?
38, 39, whatever it took.
Despite lukewarm reviews, the John Hughes penned film was a box office hit.
Mr. Mom, a mother of a comedy.
Speaking of John Hughes, he wasn't done with the summer of '83. The Hughes penned National Lampoon's Vacation, based on his own memories of family road trips as a child, hit theaters on July 29th.
This is so dangerous.
So just make us appreciate what we have. Roll them up.
Directed by Harold Ramis, the film starred Chevy Chase as Clark Griswold.
I didn't really know how to dance like Christy. That's total improv there.
A suburban dad just trying to take his family on a cross-country road trip to a Disneyland-like amusement park called Wally World.
This is no longer a vacation. It's a quest for fun. You'll be whistling Symphony Doodah out of your holes. I gotta be crazy. I'm on a pilgrimage to see a moose.
The film was a hit with both audiences and critics, kicking off an unlikely franchise that includes 5 sequels.
Thank you. Good shot, Audrey.
Star Wars may have come to an end 2 months prior, but that didn't stop Krull from trying to ride the sci-fi fantasy wave when it released in theaters on July 29th. The film followed a space prince leading a band of adventurers on a quest to save a princess, also from space, and features early appearances from future stars like Liam Neeson and Robbie Coltrane. The movie was poorly reviewed and flopped at the box office. Tom Cruise dancing around in his underwear, lip-syncing Bob Seger's old-time rock and roll is one of the most referenced images of the 1980s. And that scene came from Risky Business, released on August 5th. The coming-of-age tale follows a high school senior who becomes involved with a call girl while his parents are away from home.
You have a good time last night?
I had a great time.
Risky Business was going to succeed if there was genuine chemistry between Lana and Joel.
I was so excited about this test. I don't think I slept at all.
I had never met him before, and I remember walking over to him and saying, okay, this is the chemistry test. So let's get some chemistry going.
The box office smash turned Cruise into a household name, paving the way for his need for speed just a few years later. Along with 2,000 others, Conan the Barbarian star Arnold Schwarzenegger was naturalized on September 16th at Los Angeles' Shrine Auditorium, as then-girlfriend Maria Shriver looked on. After the ceremony, the future Terminator star would tell the press, "This is the realization of the dream I have had ever since my childhood, to come to America and become an American." And on October 7th, 2003, 20 years after he became a citizen, Schwarzenegger was elected governor of California, the most populous state in the country, with the 5th largest economy on Earth. Schwarzenegger managed to beat out 135 other candidates, all running to replace Gray Davis, the first U.S. governor recalled since 1921. The former bodybuilder drew mixed reviews as governor, but would remain in office until 2011. As the result of one of the most confusing lawsuits in history, the officially unofficial James Bond movie Never Say Never Again hit theaters on October 7th.
Not perfected yet.
After decades in court, writer Kevin McClory won the right to remake the 1965 James Bond feature, Thunderball, and he did so with original James Bond star Sean Connery, who last played the super spy in 1971's Diamonds Are Forever.
Are there things now you can't do as James Bond that you could do 22 years ago? I mean, you know what I mean. You don't bring in stunt people for the love scenes is what I'm trying to talk about.
Nonetheless, the unusual non-canonical entry in the franchise, which would mark Connery's final performance as 007, was less successful than Roger Moore's Octopussy, released earlier the same year. It's hard to imagine a time when A Christmas Story didn't exist in perpetuity on TBS, but on November 13th, it was released in movie theaters for the first time.
Is this your first premiere that you've attended?
Yeah, it is, really. Uh-huh.
What do you think of it?
It's a lot of fun.
The film follows a young boy named Ralphie, growing up in the 1940s, who dreams of receiving a BB gun for Christmas.
No, I want an official red undercover knife and 200 jet regimental rifle.
You'll shoot your eye out, kid.
The largely episodic feature earned solid reviews, but was only a moderate box office success. Thanks to repeated television airings, however, by the end of the decade, it came to be considered a Christmas classic. Believe it or not, Dirty Harry doesn't say,
"Go ahead, make my day,"
until the 4th Dirty Harry movie, Sudden Impact, released on December 9th. The only film in the franchise directed by Clint Eastwood, it also starred his real-life wife, Sandra Locke. The movie, along with Eastwood's direction, drew mixed reviews, but still cleaned up at the box office like the gritty detective himself.
Nobody puts ketchup on a hot dog.
Speaking of iconic lines, Al Pacino asked us to all say hello to his little friend.
Say hello to my little friend!
When Scarface hit theaters on December 9th. The remake of the 1932 classic of the same name did score high with critics.
This Scarface, even though he would comply, you knew eventually that he couldn't stick to any format. He was out of control, which was an attractive thing in his character to play.
But it was a box office success and has come to be regarded as a modern classic and one of the best crime dramas ever made.
You want a job, buddy?
Sure, Tony.
Okay. Hey, man, you got a job, huh?
It also left a deep pop culture footprint and is still frequently referenced in media to this day. Rocky III made Mr. T into a household name, so of course, Hollywood immediately put him in another movie. That movie was the comedy DC Cab, released December 16th.
Hey, why don't you off the street and get a decent job? I need the bread. Then get a job at the bakery.
The movie actually stars Adam Baldwin as a guy who gets a job at a rowdy taxi service. But you wouldn't know it from the movie's poster, which placed Mr. T front and center and fooled many into thinking he was the star. Despite the shenanigans, the film was just a moderate success and has been largely forgotten. And finally, speaking of largely forgotten, the Australian Christmas movie Bush Christmas was released down under on December 22nd. The movie is about a racehorse saving Christmas for a down-on-their-luck family. And despite sounding like a dozen other Christmas movies released during the 1980s, this one featured a 16-year-old Nicole Kidman in her film debut. Unfortunately, nobody could see the future, so the film flopped at the box office. Or maybe they could see the future, and all they saw were those AMC ads.
Hey, what? Have you or any of your family ever seen a spook, specter, or ghost?
If the answer is yes, then don't wait another minute. Pick up your phone and call the professionals.
Ghost Blasters!
George Orwell predicted 1984 would be a totalitarian nightmare. But had he known how many iconic movies were going to be released that year, we suspect he might have changed his tune. After all, it is the year the Muppets took Manhattan, Tom Hanks went on a date with a mermaid, and the Star Trek crew searched for Spock.
Jim, help me.
And you ain't seen nothing yet. Of course, that was just because they hadn't yet heard of Peter Venkman, Daniel LaRusso, Joan Wilder, and Axel Foley.
Jesus Christ.
We're taking you through all of the best movie-related news and events of the 1980s. This is Timeline Movies. We're cranking it up to 11 because this one is all about 1984. Now, are you ready to find out what was going on in movies the year Apple released the first Mac?
I got nothing but time.
The U.S. Supreme Court kicked things off on January 17th by ruling that videotaping a program off television for the purpose of watching it later was protected by the fair use doctrine.
I don't think really people ever thought that we'd be in a situation where someone would actually police home taping or come in and say, well, these video recorders are now illegal and now they ought to be taken off the market or out of your home.
The decision also held that manufacturers of such devices weren't liable for contributory infringement, which means they were in the clear if someone used their product to violate copyright law. The decision paved the way for an explosion of VCR sales and changed home movie culture forever. By the 1980s, Disney's brand was something of a double-edged sword. Audiences knew they could trust the studio when it came to entertaining kids, but the interest of teens and adults was waning. So on February 15th, the House of Mouse launched Touchstone Pictures, a new brand they would use to release more mature films. Touchstone's first release would be the wildly successful Tom Hanks vehicle, Splash, which dropped the following month.
All my life, I've been waiting for someone. When I find her, she's a fish. Nobody said love's perfect.
I heard a band that, for me, redefined the word rock and roll. That band was Britain's now legendary Spinal Tap.
On March 2nd, director Rob Reiner released the mockumentary This Is Spinal Tap. The film, which starred Christopher Guest, Michael McKean, and Harry Shearer as a fictional heavy metal band, was a largely improvised parody of rock and roll documentaries like 1978's The Last Waltz.
And I think that the problem may have been that there was a Stonehenge monument on the stage that was in danger of being crushed by a dwarf.
You think you're just making a much too big a thing out of it?
Making a big thing out of it would have been a good idea.
It was embraced by critics, but still struggled at the box office. Nonetheless, it came to be regarded as a cult classic and is credited with popularizing the mockumentary format.
He exploded on stage.
Dozens of people spontaneously combust each year.
After more than 4 decades, Spinal Tap returned to theaters with Spinal Tap 2. The End Continues. The movie follows the band's return for a mandatory reunion, along with Rob Reiner reprising his role as director Martin "Marty" DeBerge. Though now in their 70s, the members haven't grown emotionally and musically. Same old tap.
Tap water.
It says artisan.
It's just tap water.
It's tap water.
Then, on March 5th, actor and 3-time Academy Award nominee William Powell died of pneumonia. Powell starred in hits like 1934's My Man Godfrey and 1947's Life with Father. But today he is best remembered for his on-screen chemistry with actress Myrna Loy, with whom he played the now iconic screen couple Nick and Nora Charles in 1934's The Thin Man, as well as its 5 sequels. Powell was 91. And on March 11th, the animated fantasy film Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind was released in Japan. The post-apocalyptic story of a teenage princess fighting a powerful empire, the film was the second feature directed by Hayao Miyazaki. It wasn't actually a Studio Ghibli movie, but Nausicaa is now often grouped with that studio's output due to Miyazaki's involvement and its role in laying the groundwork for Ghibli's success.
What's your name?
Jones. Larville Jones.
What are you in for?
I'll show you.
God damn it, stop that!
Police Academy was about a city that passed a law forcing the titular institution to accept everyone who chose to apply, resulting in a class of misfits that seemed largely unqualified to work in law enforcement.
Who's next?
Catch me!
I love it. I love it.
Despite some fairly harsh reviews, the film, which hit theaters on March 23rd, was a surprise hit, making a star of leading man Steve Guttenberg and 2 TV series, and launching a franchise that would come to include 6 sequels.
Someone call a veterinarian!
My personal life has been exactly like this year's Academy Awards. Started off with terms of endearment. I thought I had the right stuff. It cost a lot to dress her, then came the big chill. In the past month, I've been begging for tender mercies.
April 8th brought the 56th Academy Awards. Winners on the night included Best Supporting Actress Linda Hunt for The Year of Living Dangerously and Best Actor Robert Duvall for Tender Mercies. But the big winner was
Terms of endearment.
which won Best Supporting Actor for Jack Nicholson, Best Actress for Shirley MacLaine,
I'm gonna cry because this show has been as long as my career.
Best Director for James L. Brooks, and Best Picture.
You don't have anything else to say to me today?
What would you like me to say, Sam?
I can't believe this. They forgot my birthday.
John Hughes kicked off the summer movie season 1 month later on May 4th with the release of his directorial debut, 16 Candles.
What's happening, hot stuff?
The film about an unpopular teenage girl who just wants to be kissed by her crush on her 16th birthday, made stars out of Molly Ringwald and Anthony Michael Hall, and would transform Hughes into the king of 80s teen dramedies.
I wanted to make a very realistic movie about what it's truly like to be 16. You laugh at a lot of the problems that she has because similarly you've been through the same thing.
The most anticipated movie of 1984 was Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, released May 23rd.
I think we went darker than any of us really wanted to go. You do a light thing and then you do another little dark thing, and pretty soon you put it together and you realize, uh-oh, it's darker than it is light. We definitely wanted to make a different movie from Raiders. We didn't want to just do the same movie over again.
The sequel to Raiders of the Lost Ark was a prequel that found Indy teaming up with a nightclub singer named Willie Scott and a young boy called Short Round.
Short Round? Step on it.
Okie dokie, Dr. Jones, hold on to your potatoes.
To return a sacred relic to the Indian villagers from which it was stolen. Despite mixed reviews, the unusually dark film was a massive hit.
Oh, it was great, especially the scene where he was riding the mine cart. It's just like Six Flags are going along, and you were riding right with him.
Temple of Doom's Short Round was played by child actor Ke Huy Quan, who would also appear in The Goonies.
He's just an explosive child. I've never really met anybody his age quite like him, especially from his background, being Vietnamese, being one of the boat people.
Tell us, how did you like acting?
I love acting. It's very interesting, and I like to see the things that I never seen it before. You get to ride on an elephant, riding on a raft, all kinds of stuff.
But after those blockbusters, he largely vanished from the pop culture stage. That would change, however, on March 25th, 2022, when Everything Everywhere All at Once hit theaters. The multiverse-spanning action/comedy would win 7 Academy Awards from 11 nominations, including Best Picture and Best Supporting Actor for Quan.
You call him Dr. Jones!
Yeah.
perhaps the greatest comedy motion picture of all time.
This is going to make E.T. look like Raiders of the Lost Ark.
And on June 8th, the supernatural comedy Ghostbusters landed in theaters.
Get her!
Directed by Ivan Reitman and starring Sigourney Weaver, Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, Harold Ramis, and Ernie Hudson.
If there's a steady paycheck in it, I'll believe anything you say.
The film told the story of 3 scientists who open up a ghost-catching business in New York City.
You're never going to regret this, Ray.
My parents left me that house. I was born there.
Acclaimed by critics and embraced by audiences, the infinitely quotable movie would finish as the 2nd highest-grossing film of the year.
He slimed me.
We got one!
Are you the key master?
Okay, who brought the dog?
I collect spores, molds, and fungus.
It just popped in there.
I have seen that'll turn you white.
And make a hit out of its theme song, which taught the whole world to shout Ghostbusters whenever someone asks,
Who you gonna call?
It's out of here. No, I can't bring it out at Christmas. It's better for summer, because in summer everybody's hot and sweltering, and they'd love to go see a picture that happens on Christmas. You're not buying that, huh?
You're the director.
The very same day saw the release of the horror comedy Gremlins, which found Zach Galligan's Billy Peltzer receiving an unusual Christmas gift, a mogwai named Gizmo, who came with the voice of Howie Mandel, and a set of rules that had to be obeyed to avert disaster.
Keep him away from water. And probably the most important thing, don't ever feed him after midnight.
That disaster turned out to be the titular monsters, who terrorized Billy's idyllic town on Christmas Eve. A massive hit, Gremlins would receive a sequel in 1990 and an animated series called Secrets of the Mogwai in 2023. The Karate Kid, released June 22nd, was the story of Daniel LaRusso, a New Jersey teen who moves to Los Angeles, only to find himself being bullied by a gang of high school karate champions.
All you want to hear is how great it is out here. Well, it may be great for you, but it sucks for me. I hate this place. I hate it. I just want to go home.
Thanks, however, to the help of handyman Mr. Miyagi, played by Pat Morita.
And look, I always look alive.
Daniel learns karate and faces off those bullies in a local tournament.
Fish out of water, coming of age, mentor student, those are themes and elements of the film that were strong in the script and strong when we were making it and still resonate today.
The wildly successful film spawned 3 sequels, an animated cartoon, a television series, and a reboot franchise that eventually crossed over with the original franchise.
Sensei LaRusso.
Anshifu.
The unusually dark stories and graphic violence of Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom and Gremlins raised more than a few eyebrows from parents. In response, Steven Spielberg, who directed the former movie and executive produced the latter, suggested that the Motion Picture Association of America create a new rating to signal a film wasn't appropriate for all children, but was acceptable for some.
I called Jack Valenti, the head of the Motion Picture Association of America, and said, can't there be an in-between rating? And I actually said it could be like PG-14 or PG-13. And he said, let me get back to you. And the next thing I heard, Jack Valenti was able to institute for the first time in many decades a brand new rating.
That rating would be called PG-13, and it was announced to the public on July 1st. Released in the U.S. on July 20th, the never-ending story follows the story of a young boy who finds a magic book about a warrior from a land called Fantasia that has to fight off a mysterious monster called the Nothing.
Don't you know anything about Fantasia? It's the world of human fantasy.
The Wolfgang Peterson-directed adaptation of the 1979 novel of the same name was met by positive reviews and cleaned up at the box office, eventually spawning 2 sequels and making kids everywhere wish they had a Falcor.
Leaving so soon?
And on July 27th, rock star Prince made the jump to the silver screen in Purple Rain. The story of an up-and-coming musician from Minneapolis, it was met by mostly positive reviews and performed well at the box office.
In the movie, he mistreats you. Now, is there any of that to the real person?
No.
I didn't write Purple Rain. Someone else did. And it was a story, a fictional story, and it should be perceived that way.
Prince would go on to make 5 more movies, and Purple Rain's soundtrack, which contains some all-time bangers like Let's Go Crazy, When Doves Cry, and the title track, would go on to win Best Original Score at the 57th Academy Awards. The first PG-13 film hit theaters just over a month after the MPAA created the new rating. That film was the action thriller Red Dawn.
Wolverines!
starring Patrick Swayze, Charlie Sheen, C. Thomas Howell, Leah Thompson, and Jennifer Grey, and depicted a Soviet invasion of the U.S. The movie carried the new rating on account of its violence, but nonetheless garnered mostly positive reviews, performed well at the box office, and left a deep pop culture footprint.
Not bad for a bunch of kids, huh? Mama'd be real proud.
The Adventures of Andre and Wally B was an animated short that debuted at the Toronto International Animation Festival on August 17th. Produced by John Lasseter of the Lucasfilm Computer Graphics Project, which later became Pixar, the film depicted a brief, slapstick confrontation between the titular characters, a man and a bumblebee. It doesn't sound like much, but it was the first fully computer-animated short film in history.
I'm never going to know what Eben Ostby or Bill Reeves or Ed Catmull knows because they're PhDs. They can't bring something to life through pure movement and give it personality like I can. I'm just going to sit right next to them and work in collaboration.
The Adventures of Andre and Wally B would later be released into theaters with the world's first fully computer-animated feature, Toy Story. When Paramount Chairman and Chief Executive Officer Barry Diller departed the company in 1984, it was widely assumed that his protege, Michael Eisner, would step into his shoes. But when that didn't happen, Eisner left the company in protest and landed himself an even bigger job, CEO of Disney. It was under Eisner's leadership that Disney made The Little Mermaid, kicking off its second golden age of animation and revitalizing the company as a cultural force. Nonetheless, a string of failures in the early 2000s would result in him leaving the position in 2005. And on October 12th, Joel and Ethan Coen, more famously known as the Coen brothers, released their first movie, the neo-noir crime thriller Blood Simple.
I love you too.
You're just saying that because you're scared.
The story of a bartender who is targeted for murder by the husband of the woman he's having an affair with. Blood Simple starred Frances McDormand and John Getz.
The great thing about Blood Simple, none of us had anything to lose. So we were able to totally take chances. There's a shot of Fran McDormand looking down at these fish. It's a very strange transition. Most directors are very much afraid to use the camera as a device in telling the story.
It earned rave reviews, but only performed so-so at the box office. Despite audience indifference, however, it would establish the brothers as major talents and kick off their now legendary Hollywood careers. James Cameron decided to follow up his 1982 directorial debut, Piranha 2: The Spawning, with a horror movie called The Terminator, released October 26th.
Look, it may take a while. Want to wait? There's a bench over there.
I'll be back.
It starred Michael Biehn as a soldier from the future who has to save a waitress, played by Linda Hamilton,
Come with me if you want to live.
from an unstoppable robot, played by Arnold Schwarzenegger. The movie initially drew mixed reviews, but it was a huge box office success, spawning 5 sequels and a TV series. By 2019, the Terminator franchise was in a state of disarray. The first 3 films were massive hits, but 2009's Terminator Salvation and 2015's Terminator Genesis left audiences cold. And don't even get us started on how confusing the mythology had become. Terminator Dark Fate, released on October 23, 2019, was meant to fix all that. But despite mostly positive reviews, audiences largely ignored the film, which ultimately lost over $100 million for its backers.
The kids of Elm Street don't know it yet, but something is coming to get them.
Supers come for you.
Released on November 9th, the Wes Craven-directed horror masterpiece, A Nightmare on Elm Street, told the unsettling tale of a group of teenagers being killed in their dreams by the ghost of a dead child murderer named Freddy Krueger.
Hey, Nancy, no running in the hallway.
The movie, which included the film debut of Johnny Depp, was embraced by critics and audiences alike and became a cultural phenomenon, spawning 8 sequels, as well as turning Robert Englund's Freddy into an unlikely icon. The Criterion Collection is a home video distributor famous for issuing prestige editions of culturally important films, and they've been at it since releasing a Laserdisc edition of Orson Welles' masterpiece, Citizen Kane, on December 1st, 1984.
Thanks to a Los Angeles-based company called Criterion, King Kong of the 30s has found his way onto Laserdisc of the 80s.
There is no deterioration
no matter how many times you use it, and the image remains as good as it was the day you bought it.
The company would continue to issue films in that format until 1999. In 1998, they issued their first DVD, which was Akira Kurosawa's Seven Samurai. Due to the high-def format wars, however, their first Blu-ray, Wong Kar-wai's Chungking Express, wouldn't drop until 2008. And on December 5th, the heat was on when Beverly Hills Cop dropped in theaters. The film starred Eddie Murphy as a streetwise Detroit cop named Axel Foley,
I don't know what y'all think I am. Take me for some kind of fool. Hurry up, quicker!
who has to solve a murder in California's posh Beverly Hills. The hilarious fish out of water tale, which also featured memorable appearances from Judge Reinhold and John Ashton, catapulted Murphy to mega stardom.
They're not just regular cops. They're super cops. And the only thing missing on these guys are capes.
It also narrowly edged out Ghostbusters, a film Murphy was originally set to appear in, to become the highest-grossing film of 1984. Finally, on December 14th, audiences were treated to the bizarre ride that was David Lynch's Dune. The famous auteur turned down the chance to direct Return of the Jedi to adapt the Frank Herbert classic for the screen.
It's a challenge and it's a risk because people have their own interpretation, their own mental idea of the way things are going to be.
But the results weren't so hot. The movie was savaged by critics, ignored by audiences, and Lynch himself disowned the final product, even going as far as to take his name off some releases of the film. Luckily for Dune fans, director Denis Villeneuve would make a far better received adaptation in 2021.
Now, traditionally, summertime and the Christmas season are the biggest money makers at the box office. But this past summer was a big disappointment in box office revenues. But local theater owners are hoping that movies like Rocky IV will give them a much-needed boost.
Financially speaking, 1985 wasn't actually all that great a year for cinema. Despite breaking a record for new releases, ticket sales were down nearly 20% compared to the previous year. And lost in the shuffle were future cult classics like Real Genius, Return to Oz, and The Black Cauldron. Box office issues aside, however, the year now stands as a virtual treasure trove of 80s nostalgia.
Who are you?
An angel.
What's your name?
Satan.
We're going to take you through all of the best movie and Hollywood-related news and events of 1985, because this is Timeline Movies. And since 1985 was when Cocoon was released, we'll try to keep this from getting old. Now, are you ready to find out what was going on in movies the year every rock star on Earth teamed up to do Live Aid?
That's a good idea.
Thanks to Star Wars and Indiana Jones, by 1985, Harrison Ford was one of the world's biggest stars. But he had yet to prove he could carry a movie that wasn't made by Lucas or Spielberg. That would all change on February 8th with the release of the crime thriller Witness, which featured Ford as a police detective who has to hide out on an Amish farm.
You have no right to keep us here.
Yes, I do. Your son's a material witness to a homicide.
Been offered a cop story or two, and to this point I've never taken one. Mostly because they're centered around violence and action. This was one where the alien Amish culture had an effect on the character and affect the way he behaved.
A hit with critics and audiences, Witness proved Ford could get the job done, even without a whip and fedora.
I have exactly 8 hours and 54 minutes to ponder the error of your ways.
A brain, a beauty, a jock, a rebel, and a recluse.
On February 15th, the world met The Breakfast Club.
I got you for the rest of your natural-born life if you don't watch your step. You want another one? Yes.
Cut it out!
The John Hughes-directed coming-of-age film starred a group of high school students from different cliques, all thrown together at Saturday morning detention.
I don't think that any one of us really knows what the other four are doing with their character. We've been doing the whole thing in sequence, so things are gradually revealed, and then we don't have to go backwards and hide them again. I mean, once they're out, they're out.
The film was embraced by critics and audiences alike, and its success helped cement the Brat Pack as a box office force to be reckoned with. And on February 20th, director Terry Gilliam released his dystopian black comedy, Brazil.
What is Brazil?
What is Brazil?
What is Brazil?
A satire of corporate bureaucracy and technocratic surveillance states, the film follows Jonathan Pryce's Sam Lowry as he tries to locate a woman he saw in a dream.
The film originally began down Port Talbot in Wales, Steeltown, and the beach
is absolutely black from coal dust. I just had this image of this guy sitting on this beach looking at the sunset with a radio and picking up strange music like Brazil's and Latin American romantic stuff. That's what the film is still about. It's about somebody trying to escape from it or thinking there's an escape.
Despite mostly positive reviews and a warm reception in Europe, however, it tanked at the US box office. Nonetheless, it has since come to be considered an influential cult classic. Australian business magnate Rupert Murdoch shocked Hollywood on March 20th by agreeing to acquire 50% of 20th Century Fox from oilman Marvin Davis. Murdoch's News Corporation would pay $250 million for the acquisition, which Murdoch, at the time, called a significant investment. Murdoch would retain ownership of 20th Century Fox for 32 years. On December 14, 2017, he would once again shock Hollywood by announcing he was selling the studio and its considerable library of films and properties, which included franchises like X-Men and Avatar, to Disney.
A year ago, I didn't see this one coming either, nor did I see it coming 6 months ago.
The sale included some Fox television channels and even a 30% stake in Hulu. But of course, old Rupert held on to some of the company's assets, including Fox News. March 25th brought the 57th Academy Awards, hosted by actor Jack Lemmon.
Hey, you see these? They're the hottest tickets in this town. It's for the Academy Awards, and people will do anything to get one of these, even become a movie star. But you don't need one. You're with me, so come on.
Winners on the night included Best Supporting Actor Hang Asnor for The Killing Fields, Best Supporting Actress Peggy Ashcroft for A Passage to India, and Best Actress Sally Field for Places in the Heart.
I can't deny the fact that you like me right now. You like me.
The big winner was
Amadeus,
which took home Best Actor for F. Murray Abraham, Best Director for Milos Forman, and Best Picture.
9 years ago, Audrey Hepburn gave us Oscars for Cuckoo's Nest, and tonight, Sir Laurence Olivier for Amadeus. What a wonderful and rewarding profession for a movie fan.
The Entertainment, one of the famous Topper series of sophisticated comedies out of the Hal Roach Studios. Colorization brings these comedies to life for today's color-oriented audiences.
The 1937 comedy Topper starred Cary Grant and told the story of a stuffy guy being haunted by the ghosts of a fun-loving married couple.
Hey, if I'm in the way, you folks can leave.
Oh, not at all.
Mighty nice of you to let me stay around.
Hey, what's biting you? You're not getting jealous, are you?
No, just getting careful.
It was a hit when it was originally released, and since it was 1937, it was in black and white. But on May 15th, 1985, Topper became the first movie to be digitally colorized.
Colorization, the newest technology in entertainment at work right now. The simplest description, black and white motion picture and television film is converted to the finest quality color videotape by these men and women working with modern computer technology.
The project was treated as a triumph by producers, but the public wasn't as high on the idea of colorizing old films, and the process was largely dismissed as an annoying novelty. A View to a Kill was the 14th James Bond movie, and it dropped on May 22nd. The film found Roger Moore's 007 squaring off with industrialist Max Zorin, played by Christopher Walken, as he tried to destroy Silicon Valley.
So, does anybody else want to drop out?
It was a commercial success, despite harsh reviews, including one by Moore himself, who described himself as horrified by its violence, adding, "That wasn't Bond." That may be why, on December 3rd, Moore turned in his license to kill and retired from the role.
If you weren't an actor, what would you want to do?
I would love to be able to sing. I really would. It'd be wonderful.
Great in the
But
shower.
I don't think I would be very good as Bond, being Mario Lanza.
It's happening.
If you're wondering who would win in a fight between James Bond and Rambo, the answer is Rambo. You can tell that because Rambo First Blood Part 2 opened the same day as A View to a Kill, and it was the former that won the weekend. With a screenplay co-written by James Cameron, the sequel to 1982's First Blood found Rambo going back to Vietnam to rescue American POWs.
Survive a war, you gotta become war.
Because you like to fight?
I'm expendable.
A monster hit, it would finish as the year's second highest grossing picture and turn its hero into a staple of pop culture for decades to come.
I hope to establish a character that can represent a certain section of the American consciousness and through the entertainment also be educational.
What is this man's name?
My name is Igor Stravinsky.
Hi there, I'm Harry S. Truman.
I'm Don Corleone. They call him Fletch.
If you've ever been tempted to put your entire vacation on Mr. Underhill's American Express card, then you saw Fletch, released May 31st. Based on the novel by Gregory MacDonald, the film played more as a vehicle for Chevy Chase, who spends the runtime in wacky disguises.
You know, if I did some sit-ups in the morning or bent over like this, I'd probably feel 100% the Moon River. Whew. Thank you, Doc. You ever serve time?
While also delivering what is arguably the best performance of his career. Although it finished second to Rambo in its opening weekend, it was a box office hit, spawning the 1989 sequel Fletch Lives, and the 2022 reboot Confess, Fletch, which featured John Hamm in the title role. The Richard Donner-directed, Steven Spielberg-produced comedy adventure The Goonies opened on June 7th.
Besides, we gotta get to the police. Maybe Chunk already got to the police. Maybe Chunk is dead. Goonies never say die.
The movie, which starred Sean Astin, Josh Brolin, Corey Feldman, Ke Huy Quan, Martha Plimpton, Cary Green, and Jeff Cohen, found a group of teenagers looking for pirate treasure in an attempt to save their homes from being demolished.
I never let the kids see this boat. They were banned from the stage. They were supposed to come out of the chute, hit the water, and turn around and see the boat for the first time. They all knew what they were going to see, but they had no idea what it was going to look like.
Now considered an essential 80s classic, it opened to positive reviews, but like Fletch and Bond, failed to dethrone Rambo from the #1 spot at the box office.
When this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're gonna see some serious
Back to the Future starred Michael J. Fox as Marty McFly, a California teen sent back in time by his mad scientist buddy, Emmett Doc Brown, played by Christopher Lloyd.
Whoa, Doc, stuck here. I can't be stuck here. I got a life in 1985.
Directed by Robert Zemeckis and produced by Steven Spielberg, the movie became a cultural phenomenon, made icons out of its cast, and even made the largely forgotten DeLorean automobile seem cool again. Perhaps more impressively, it would trounce Rambo at the box office.
You know that new sound you looking for? Well, listen to this!
Finishing as 1985's highest-grossing film, while spawning 2 hit sequels, an animated cartoon, and a musical stage adaptation.
He'll do.
On July 10th, audiences got to see Mel Gibson's final outing as Mad Max Rockatansky in Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. The threequel found Max forced to fight in the titular arena at the behest of Tina Turner's evil anti-entity.
2 men injured, 1 man lead! 2 men injured, 1 man lead!
We had a deal, and the law says, bust the deal, face the wheel.
Due, however, to his grief over the death of series producer Byron Kennedy, director George Miller partnered with director George Ogilvy to complete the film, which ultimately divided critics and audiences. It was less successful than the previous 2 Max films, but the concept of the Thunderdome has since become a staple of pop culture.
But she's beyond Thunderdome. Welcome to the Thunderdome.
July 12th saw the release of the sci-fi adventure Explorers. According to director Joe Dante, the film, which followed 2 teenage boys from Maryland constructing a spaceship from plans sent to one of them in his dreams by an unknown force, was rushed through production and released in an unfinished state. Predictably, it was a box office flop.
It's the aliens that let us down in this movie, because when we finally see them, they look like dumb little animated creatures. They're not much better than Mickey Mouse here.
But has since come to be regarded as a cult classic, largely because the 2 teenage boys at the heart of the story were played by Ethan Hawke and River Phoenix, both in their film debuts.
So Explorers has a terrific beginning and a really dumb ending. I can only give this movie 2 stars.
Dr. Rock Hudson dead, his year-long battle with AIDS at an end. He was 59.
On July 25th, actor Rock Hudson released a statement to the press announcing that he had AIDS. The announcement made Hudson, a popular leading man of the 1950s and 60s with over 60 film credits to his name, the first major celebrity to admit having contracted the condition. His death on October 7th, 1985, is now widely credited with bringing the epidemic to the forefront of world news. And on August 9th, America began an epic journey to the basement of the Alamo with the release of Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
Eddie Murphy!
You're the love of my life.
Mr. T!
Beautiful jacket. Who shot the couch?
The fat boys are back.
I don't see enough bow ties around here, and I think anybody not wearing one should be thrown out of here right now.
The movie found its title character, played by Paul Rubens, hitting the road in search of his stolen bicycle and encountering a bizarre cast of characters and situations along the way.
And when they finally pulled the driver's body, it looked like this.
The directorial debut of Tim Burton, it was a hit with critics and audiences, making an icon out of Pee-wee and spawning 2 sequels, as well as the hit television show Pee-wee's Playhouse.
You are practically the first person I ever worked with in Hollywood. You kinda, I owe this whole film to you, really.
Well, really, what's happening is I'm starting to talk like you now.
This is your father speaking. Now, open this door right this minute.
You asked for it.
An explanation is probably long overdue.
The producers of the supernatural coming-of-age comedy Teen Wolf held its release until August 23rd in an attempt to ride the coattails of Back to the Future, which also starred Michael J. Fox.
Listen, no ID, no goddamn beer. Can't you get that through your thick skull? Give me a keg of beer.
And that plan worked like a charm. The story of a high school basketball player who discovers he's a werewolf became a box office smash, debuting at number 2 in its opening weekend, right behind, you guessed it, Back to the Future. That success led to a sequel, an animated cartoon, and a live-action television reboot that lasted for 6 seasons. Orson Welles is considered one of the most influential filmmakers in history and was the director of Citizen Kane, widely considered the single greatest movie ever made. Sadly, on the morning of October 10th, Welles died of a heart attack at his Los Angeles home. According to longtime friend and collaborator Joseph Cotten, Welles wanted to be buried in Spain. His body, however, was ultimately cremated, and in 1987, his ashes were buried in a well at the home of his old friend, bullfighter Antonio Ordóñez. Blockbuster Video is the best-known video rental chain of all time, and it got its start when the first location opened in Dallas, Texas on October 19th.
Nobody has the movie I want.
Hey, if it's on video, Blockbuster probably has it. I mean, we have over 10,000 videos.
Wow.
The first Blockbuster stocked 8,000 VHS tapes and 2,000 Betamax tapes, which is pretty incredible, considering Netflix only offers subscribers access to roughly 3,600 movies and 1,800 television shows. Blockbuster became a cultural phenomenon of the 80s and 90s. But thanks to the rise of streaming, it eventually went defunct, closing its last corporate-owned store in 2014. Most people think that Jim Carrey started his career on the TV sketch show In Living Color. But in reality, Carrey was a movie star first. In fact, the man who would be the Grinch got his first starring role in the teen horror comedy Once Bitten, released November 15th. Carrey plays a naive California teen who gets seduced and bitten by a sexy blonde vampire.
I don't believe it. It finally happened. Did I enjoy it?
Despite lackluster reviews, the now largely forgotten flick was a moderate success at the box office. Even so, it failed to make Carrey into a household name.
That might be a bummer, but oh, there's my name.
Jim Carrey. That's spelt right, too.
It would be another 9 years before Carrey was given the chance to headline another movie. And this time, he would make it count. Ace Ventura, Pet Detective, was released February 4th, 1994. And like Carrey's earlier starring vehicle, it would be met by harsh reviews. But thanks to Carrey's over-the-top wackiness and quotable catchphrases,
Alrighty then.
the film blew up at the box office, spawning a sequel, a Saturday morning cartoon, and a made-for-TV sequel about Ace Jr. In 1985, the Cold War was still going strong.
I must break you.
And there was only one way to settle it, in the boxing ring. At least, that was the implication of Rocky IV, released November 27th. The film found Rocky Balboa avenging the death of Apollo Creed by agreeing to fight the terrifying Soviet boxer Ivan Drago. And it ended with the people of Russia cheering for the titular hero. Its comic book-like sensibilities, however, won over audiences. And the movie finished as 1985's third highest grosser, right behind Rambo. So yeah, it was a very good year for Stallone. Based on the board game of the same name, Clue hit theaters on December 13th. The black comedy had an all-star cast that included Madeline Kahn, Christopher Lloyd, Michael McKean, and Tim Curry.
Ladies and gentlemen, you all have one thing in common. You're all being blackmailed.
But nonetheless bombed at the box office. That may be because audiences weren't all that excited for a movie based on a board game.
Flames. Flames. On the side of my face. Breathing.
Or they may have resented the fact that the movie had 3 different endings, and to see them all, you had to pay to see the movie 3 times. Either way, it wouldn't truly find its audience until its home video release.
I am your singing telegram.
December 4th saw the release of Young Sherlock Holmes, a mystery adventure directed by Barry Levinson and produced by Steven Spielberg. The movie garnered mostly positive reviews, but floundered at the box office. If you did happen to catch it, though, you probably walked out of the theater amazed by a special effect that depicted a knight made of stained glass, leaping out of a stained glass window. Created by Industrial Light and Magic and John Lasseter, that knight is now considered the first photorealistic CGI character to ever appear in a movie.
Pieces of glass, instead of being order of an inch or 3, they were an inch thick, so they were heavy. Hopefully it'll be powerful enough and strong enough when the audience sees it that they'll be wowed.
Finally, Jackie Chan's Police Story, which followed a Hong Kong cop who has to clear his name of murder and arrest the drug dealer who framed him, hit theaters on December 14th. The movie, in which Chan performs an eye-popping stunt where he leaps from a mall balcony, was a hit in Asia and Europe, spawning 4 sequels and a reboot. It is now widely considered one of the best martial arts films of all time.
Critters, the battle begins in another galaxy.
I think you should all go and see it.
It was great. Bounty hunters, total psychoticness.
The critters like to party too. Critters now playing at a theater near you.
If you're into the movies from the 80s, then you likely have fond memories of 1986, unless you are a fan of Optimus Prime, in which case you're probably still coping with the trauma. But that unexpectedly dark twist notwithstanding, it was the year Rodney Dangerfield headed back to school with Robert Downey Jr.
Good teacher. He really seems to care. About what, I have no idea.
The game was afoot for a great mouse detective.
Smile, everyone.
And John Carpenter teamed up with Kurt Russell to stir up some big trouble in Little China. We're taking you through all of the best movie-related news and events of the 1980s. This is Timeline Movies. Watch out for nuclear vessels, because this one is about 1986. Now, are you ready to find out what was going on in the movies the year the first Legend of Zelda game came out?
I was born ready.
January 30th saw the release of the sports drama Youngblood. The film stars Rob Lowe as a farmhand pursuing his dream of playing in the National Hockey League. But the real reason to see it is because it includes the feature film debut of Keanu Reeves.
That man is an animal.
He plays Heaver, which is a relatively small part, but the man who would be Ted, Neo, and John Wick still manages to leave an impression. Originally a division of Lucasfilm known as the Graphics Group, Pixar became an independent company on February 3rd. The move was made thanks to a $5 million investment by Apple Computer co-founder Steve Jobs, who became the new company's biggest shareholder.
Ed told me about his dream, which was to make the first computer-animated feature film someday, and showed me what this team was working on. I was blown away. This was way beyond anything I'd seen. And so I bought into that dream, both spiritually and financially.
Since then, Pixar, which is now owned by Disney, has produced 29 digitally animated features, including the world's first fully computer-animated film, Toy Story. On February 3rd, during his yearly State of the Union address, U.S. President Ronald Reagan rattled off a quote from the #1 movie of 1985, Back to the Future.
Who's president of the United States in 1985?
Ronald Reagan.
Ronald Reagan, the actor?
During the speech, Reagan said,
"Never has there been a more exciting time to be alive. A time of rousing wonder and heroic achievement. As they said in the film, Back to the Future, where we're going, we don't need roads."
Ladies and gentlemen, the late Yul Brynner.
And on February 18th, Americans received a message from beyond the grave when actor Yul Brynner, famous for his roles in films like The King and I and The Magnificent Seven, appeared in an anti-smoking commercial released 4 months after his death from lung cancer. In the spot, Brynner, who smoked 5 packs a day, said,
"Now that I'm gone, I tell you, don't smoke. Whatever you do, just don't smoke."
Released February 28th, the teen romantic dramedy Pretty in Pink stars Molly Ringwald, Andrew McCarthy, and John Cryer.
Blaine? His name is Blaine? That's a major appliance. That's not a name.
Written by the legendary John Hughes, the film follows a working-class teen girl torn between the wealthy boy she has a crush on and her best friend. who carries a torch for her.
The only thing I'd heard from Otis Redding was Dock of the Bay. So I had to acquaint myself with him really fast and learn all those, and oohs and ahs and love is something, and that was very difficult.
A well-reviewed box office hit, Pretty in Pink would come to be regarded as one of Gen X's most iconic teen movies.
There can be only one.
And on March 7th, Highlander debuted in U.S. theaters. The film, which stars Christopher Lambert and Sean Connery, tells the tale of Connor MacLeod, an immortal warrior competing for a mysterious prize.
Never overextend your thrust and off balance.
Connor.
Heather, please.
A poorly received box office flop, Highlander became a cult favorite on video, launching a multimedia franchise that continues to this day. Rebooting a film that preaches there can only be one is a bit odd, but in 2008, Summit Entertainment announced they were remaking the original film. John Wick director Chad Stahelski signed up to helm that remake in 2016, and on May 21st, 2021, Deadline reported that former Superman Henry Cavill had signed on to play the lead.
The training is about to begin in earnest. It'll be a very long training process. Things are happening, and we are very excited.
Production is set to start in 2026, with an eye toward a 2027 release.
Get all the envelopes right in there? What do you say we open those suckers up right now? Read them all out right now, and bang, we can go to the party.
March 24th brought the 58th Academy Awards, team hosted by Alan Alda, Jane Fonda, and Robin Williams. Winners included Best Supporting Actor Don Amici for Cocoon, Best Supporting Actress Angelica Houston for Prizzi's Honor.
This means a lot to me, since it comes from a role in which I was directed by my father.
Best Actor William Hurt for Kiss of the Spider-Woman, and Best Actress Geraldine Page for The Trip to Bountiful. But the big winner was
Out of Africa!
which earned Best Director for Sidney Pollack, as well as Best Picture.
Is it over? Who won?
The Chicago Bears.
A legendary figure about to encounter a world more treacherous than any he has ever known.
This your first trip to New York?
First trip anywhere.
On April 24th, Crocodile Dundee opened in Australia. The fish-out-of-water romantic comedy stars Paul Hogan as an Australian bushman, brought to New York City by a reporter.
I'm always all right when I'm with you, Dundee.
The film, which taught us all what a knife really is,
That's a knife. That's a knife.
opened to rave reviews and became a sleeper hit, finishing up as the second highest grossing film of the year.
Number 5 is alive.
And that life started when Short Circuit, starring Steve Guttenberg and Ali Sheedy, opened on May 9th. The sci-fi comedy follows a military robot who gains sentience after being struck by lightning. Despite a lukewarm reception by critics and the fact that the studio cast Guttenberg in the lead against director John Badham's wishes,
people may get nervous being around this big mechanical thing. Steve was very nervous the first day he was around it. There was no time at all. They're telling each other jokes. They're having fun.
the robot Johnny Five endeared himself to audiences.
Well, when you gotta go, don't squeeze the charm.
And the film became a box office success, earning it a sequel in 1988.
Los locos kick your face. Los locos kick your balls into outer space.
And on May 16th, the greatest military recruitment vehicle this side of World War II debuted in the form of the Tom Cruise movie Top Gun.
I feel the need for speed.
Directed by Tony Scott, the film follows a maverick Navy pilot called Maverick as he struggles to succeed at the titular military training facility while squeezing in a few games of shirtless volleyball.
I always suspected Tom Cruise might have cooked my volleyball close-ups. If you notice, I don't have any.
I knew why the scene was in the movie because I had to show off all the guys, but I didn't have a vision about what I was doing other than just soft porn.
Despite mixed reviews, Top Gun would finish as the highest-grossing film of 1986 and receive a sequel in 2022.
You can be my wingman anytime.
And if you know what that means, it's because you were one of the few people who saw Space Camp.
Nobody cares about Space Camp more than I do. And you've been on my case since day one.
Released on June 6th, the film, which starred a Joaquin Phoenix so young he was still calling himself Leaf,
Yo, Jinx.
Yo. All right.
follows a group of kids who go to a summer program called Space Camp, only to be launched into orbit for real. Released less than 5 months after the Challenger shuttle disaster, the movie was a marketing disaster and bombed at the box office.
Bueller, Bueller, Bueller,
And on June 11th, John Hughes continued his winning streak with the release of Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Life moves pretty fast. You don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it.
The film, which stars Matthew Broderick, follows a deviously clever high school student as he skips school and attempts to teach his best friends not to let petty authority figures sap all the joy from life. Beloved by critics, audiences, and Ferrari fans, it would finish as the 10th highest grossing film of the year.
You're still here? It's over.
Jim Henson's Labyrinth was released on June 27th. It tells the tale of Sarah, a teenage girl who must travel through the titular maze to rescue her baby brother from the clutches of David Bowie's Goblin King.
We wanted to use Michael's right arm to be David's arm. We set it up with a stand-in for David, so he could rehearse and rehearse and rehearse and try to get this move. And he had to be leaning down so that he wouldn't be in the camera shot. He's now working totally blind.
The final feature, directed by Henson, it was replete with Muppet-like creatures and catchy songs, written and performed by Bowie himself. Nonetheless, it ultimately underperformed at the box office. On July 18th, Sigourney Weaver's Ellen Ripley returned to theaters in Aliens. Directed by James Cameron, the sci-fi/horror/adventure sequel finds its hero heading back to LV-426 on a mission to destroy the alien species she barely survived in the first film.
You're one brave kid, Rebecca.
Who?
Newt. I like that. There is this little child who's the only other person who's had the same experience she has and survived. When I find her, I have a new life, a new breath.
The movie would cement Ripley's status as one of the greatest action heroes of all time and is now widely regarded as one of the best films of the 1980s. The first Marvel hero to reach the big screen was Captain America in a 1944 serial, but the second was Howard the Duck, released August the 1st. The movie, which sees Howard dragged to Earth where he squares off with the evil Dark Overlord, was originally intended to be animated, but contractual obligations forced producer George Lucas to make it live action.
Howard really controls this picture. We don't really have much to do with it. We just do his bidding. He's got a lot of power, a lot of charisma.
One of the biggest bombs in cinema history,
Howard.
It's notable for being the first movie to include digitally erased wire work, which is now a staple of special effects. A Better Tomorrow, which was released August 2nd, is the story of an ex-gangster trying to mend his relationship with his policeman brother. Widely considered one of the best Chinese films ever made, it's most notable for featuring the breakout performance of Chow Yun-fat and cementing John Woo's reputation as a master director. The winner of the 1987 Hong Kong Film Award for Best Film, its highly stylized action sequences helped establish the heroic bloodshed genre and became massively influential to both Hong Kong and Hollywood movies.
Now, light our darkest hour.
The Transformers. The movie debuted on August 8th and pit the titular robots in disguise against a living planet called Unicron, but it's mostly remembered for its surprisingly dark storyline, which featured the death of the iconic Autobot leader, Optimus Prime.
I'm getting whacked on page 17. I'm not coming back.
Kids were crying in the theaters. We were hearing about people leaving the movie. And indeed, we had some kid that locked himself in his bedroom for 2 weeks.
Despite including the legendary Orson Welles in what would be his final role,
nobody summons Megatron.
Then it pleases me to be the first.
The movie bombed at the box office. Nonetheless, its featured song, The Touch by Stan Bush, was so well regarded that it was belted out by Mark Wahlberg in 1997's Boogie Nights.
You got the touch! You got the power! Yeah!
The Fly, starring Jeff Goldblum and Gina Davis, flew into theaters.
I'm afraid!
Don't be afraid!
No, be afraid. Be very afraid.
A remake of the 1958 Vincent Price vehicle of the same name, the film tells the story of Seth Brundle, a scientist struggling to hold on to his humanity after accidentally combining his DNA with that of a fly in a teleportation experiment.
What happened? I know an old lady who swallowed a fly. Perhaps she'll die.
Embraced by critics and audiences, the film would win an Academy Award for Best Makeup and solidify Goldblum's reputation as an A-list character actor. When you think Hannibal Lecter, you probably picture Sir Anthony Hopkins. But the first actor to play Hannibal the Cannibal was actually Succession's Brian Cox in Manhunter, released August 15th.
Then by implication, you think you're smarter than me since you caught me.
I know that I'm not smart.
Then how did you catch me?
You had disadvantages.
What disadvantages?
You're
insane.
Directed by Michael Mann, this adaptation of Thomas Harris's Red Dragon only briefly features the iconic serial killer, and it flopped at the box office. Now regarded as a cult classic, it would be remade in 2002, with Hopkins playing Lecter in an expanded role. Based on a short story by Stephen King, the coming-of-age drama Stand By Me landed in theaters on August 22nd. Set in 1959, the film features Will Wheaton, River Phoenix, Corey Feldman, and Jerry O'Connell as a group of friends who set off on a long hike to see a dead body.
I see him! I see him!
That period was exactly what you see. It was 4 kids in the middle of nowhere growing up with each other and in front of you.
You know, we'd all go over to River's house.
We'd do all the handshakes. And we would say all the, slang that they used back then in the 59.
A box office success that earned an Academy Award nomination for Best Screenplay, the movie is now widely considered one of the greatest adaptations of King's work.
It was a deeply felt story for me because, as a writer, it was a story that stepped outside the horror genre. And I felt that Rob Reiner responded to that and was made better by it and basically realized the story as a film, which doesn't happen very often.
Sadly, just 7 years later, actor River Phoenix would meet a tragic end when he overdosed on drugs and went into cardiac arrest outside of a Hollywood nightclub. Siblings Joaquin and Rain attempted to revive their brother and called 911, but doctors were unable to save him.
River Phoenix was not a flavor of the month. He was going to be an actor with longevity.
What happened to River is so sad, and it's hard for me to look at the last part of the film.
Phoenix was just 23 years old. Released on November 14th, the sports drama Hoosiers tells the tale of a high school basketball team from Indiana that makes it all the way to the state championship. The movie stars Gene Hackman as an unconventional coach.
If you put your effort and concentration into playing to your potential, to be the best that you can be, I don't care what the scoreboard says at the end of the game, in my book, we're going to be winners.
And Dennis Hopper as his alcoholic assistant, a role for which he would receive an Academy Award nomination. Very loosely based on a true story, Hoosiers is now regarded as one of the best sports movies of all time.
Cary Grant died yesterday of a stroke at the age of 82 in Davenport, Iowa. President and Mrs. Reagan, calling him one of Hollywood's brightest stars, said they are very saddened by the death of their old friend.
On November 29th, actor Cary Grant suffered a massive stroke while preparing for a performance in Davenport, Iowa, and later died at a hospital. One of the biggest stars in the history of film, he was known for his roles in classics like Bringing Up Baby, His Girl Friday, and The Philadelphia Story, as well as his many collaborations with Alfred Hitchcock.
Cary Grant never won an Academy Award, except for an honorary one in 1969. And even the most sophisticated viewers are sometimes fooled by the kind of artist who hides his art, makes what he does look easy.
At the time of his death, he was 82. Finally, the musical black comedy Little Shop of Horrors was released December 19th. Starring Rick Moranis, Ellen Greene, and Steve Martin, the film tells the tale of a meek flower shop employee who happens upon a strange plant that seems to have the power to grant wishes, as long as it's fed with human blood.
Feed me, cowboy! Feed me now!
Little Shop underperformed at the box office, but became a massive hit on home video, and is now considered a classic of its genre.
Hey, I'm real scared there, Kirby. What are you gonna do, suck me to death?
You probably think that the air conditioner's voice is Jack Nicholson's, right? It actually is the voice of this man, Saturday Night Live co-star Phil Hartman.
The character of the air conditioner gets very emotional, and Jack Nicholson is very funny when he gets angry.
He's so overblown and crazy!
1987 was the year Timothy Dalton became James Bond. Elizabeth Shue has some adventures in babysitting.
What am I supposed to do? Get in the car and run him over.
And Michael Douglas sets us straight on the whole greed thing.
Greed is good.
At the same time, Richard Dreyfuss and Emilio Estevez went on a stakeout, Dennis Quaid found himself exploring the space inside of Martin Short, and Barbra Streisand went just plain nuts.
I'll be nuts for you.
We're taking you through all of the best movie-related news and events of the 1980s. This is Timeline Movies. We've gone to plaid because this one is about 1987. Now, are you ready to find out what was going on in movies the year the Beastie Boys got their license to ill?
Snap out of it!
As the son of world-famous singer and actress Rosemary Clooney, George Clooney had been appearing on television since 1971, but he didn't make his big screen debut until the premiere of the horror/comedy Return to Horror High on January 9th. In the film, the future Danny Oceans plays an actor.
I got the lead in the series.
Hey, that's great. What is it?
Oh, it's an action adventure with some humor, kind of a rip-off of Miami Vice and Moonlighting.
Great, when does it start?
Tomorrow.
But only briefly, because as it happens, Clooney's character is the first to get killed.
Gun! Raj, meet your new partner.
I'm too old for this.
If you're getting too old for this, it may be because you were around to see Lethal Weapon debut in theaters on March 6th.
Everything aches. Everything aches when you're 40. Hopefully not as much when I'm 50.
The buddy cop action comedy starred Mel Gibson as unstable homicide detective Martin Riggs, who finds himself partnered with Danny Glover's soon-to-be retired Roger Murdaugh.
You're not trying to draw a psycho picture. You really are crazy.
Together, the two must take on a gang of drug-dealing ex-Special Forces killers. The team thrilled audiences so much, the film would spawn 3 sequels and a 2016 television reboot. On March 6th, actor Brad Pitt made his film debut in the comedy Hunk. The film follows a computer programmer who sells his soul to the devil to be handsome and muscular. But the titular hunk is not Pitt.
My name is Hunk Golden.
That role was played by B-movie actor John Allen Nelson. Pitt was an uncredited extra seen lounging around a pool in the background of one scene. He wouldn't get his first credited role until the 1988 drama The Dark Side of the Sun. Evil Dead 2 is the sequel to 1981's Evil Dead, and it was released on March 13th. Quasi-remake of the first installment, Evil Dead 2 finds nerdy Ash Williams transforming into one of the decade's most memorable action heroes.
Groovy.
As he dukes it out with deadites at a creepy cabin in the woods.
Certain laws that happen to apply to all horror pictures. We found there was a third law, and that is that you must taste blood to be a man. You've got to go through this coming-of-age blood experience.
Despite a mediocre box performance, the horror comedy would be embraced by critics.
The director here, Sam Raimi, is doing is satirizing all kinds of movie genres. It's not just a horror film. It's very clever and very funny.
The Coen brothers kicked off their legendary career with Blood Simple, but what made them a household name was the success of the small crime caper comedy Raising Arizona, released March 13th.
Welcome home, son. Where's you been?
Phoenix.
The movie stars Nicolas Cage and Holly Hunter as a criminal and cop who get married, only to learn they're incapable of conceiving a child. With no other options, they kidnap a baby to complete their family. But being parents and kidnappers turns out to be more than they bargained for.
Give me that baby, you warthog from hell!
My name is Chevy Chase, and I must say I feel privileged to be your host. Well, that's not true. I'm really a replacement. Sorry to have to tell you that Jim and Tammy Baker couldn't make it tonight.
And March 30th brought the 59th Academy Awards. Team hosted by Paul Hogan, Chevy Chase, and Goldie Hawn.
Wait a minute. There aren't going to be any more awards.
Why not?
That plant, that mean green mother from outer space. He's raising hell backstage because there's no category for best performance by a plant.
Winners included Best Supporting Actor Michael Caine and Best Supporting Actress Diane Wiest, both for Hannah and Her Sisters. Best Actor Paul Newman for The Color of Money, and Best Actress Marlee Matlin for Children of a Lesser God.
To tell you the truth, I didn't prepare for this speech, but I definitely want to thank the Academy and its members.
But the big winner of the night was
Platoon,
which won Best Director for Oliver Stone as well as Best Picture. In 1982, director Steve Lisberger brought us Tron. And on May 8th, 1987, he brought us the screen debut of actor Ben Stiller in the action/comedy Hot Pursuit.
Don't point that gun at my family.
Bill, you're missing what's going on here. This is my big goddamn score, and you stuck your fat asses right in the middle of it.
Stiller had just a handful of TV credits on his resume at the time, but he may have snagged the role as Chris Honeywell thanks to the fact that his then more than famous father, Jerry Stiller, was in the cast playing the part of Chris's father, Victor Honeywell. Starting in 1983, various film studios began to colorize their black and white film libraries. Many of the people who actually made and starred in these films, however, hated the idea. So on May 12th, the Senate Judiciary Committee's Subcommittee on Technology and the Law held hearings on the matter, at which celebrities like Ginger Rogers, Sidney Pollack, and Milos Forman testified about why artists should have the power to veto the colorization of old films.
To see yourself painted up like a birthday cake on a television screen, it feels terrible.
Films are a part of our cultural history.
And like all accurate representations of who and what we were, I think they deserve preservation in their authentic form.
The proceeding resulted in the proposal of the Film Integrity Act, which did not get a vote. Starlog salutes Star Wars, also known as the Star Wars 10th Anniversary Convention, was the first officially sponsored Star Wars convention, and it was held at the Stouffer Concourse Hotel in Los Angeles, California on May 23rd.
This is a wretched I like.
The convention, which was organized by Starlog magazine, featured a rare appearance by Lucas himself. But what really made it memorable was a surprise appearance by Star Trek creator Gene Roddenberry, who showed up to pay his respects.
When I first saw it, I was sort of angry because it was one of those films, you see, that I wish I had done it.
Resulting in the only known photo of the two iconic space franchise creators together. And on June 3rd, The Untouchables stormed into theaters. Loosely inspired by the 1957 book of the same name, the film, which redefined America's relationship with baseball bats, stars Kevin Costner and Sean Connery as members of the eponymous team.
I want to get Capone. I don't know how to get him. Here's how you get him. He pulls a knife, you pull a gun. He sends one of yours to the hospital, you send one of his to the morgue.
Taking on Robert De Niro's terrifying Al Capone in 1930s gangland Chicago.
I want him dead. I want his family dead. I want his house burnt to the ground.
Embraced by critics and audiences, the influential film would win Connery a Best Supporting Actor Oscar at the 60th Academy Awards.
It's very clear that each one knows their own personality. So to work with them, they're all gentlemen, they're all very good actors, and they all fit this movie very well.
So why don't you use the regular army? What do you need us for?
Because some damn fool accused you of being the best.
Dylan! You son of a...
Directed by John McTiernan, Predator stars Arnold Schwarzenegger, Carl Weathers, and Jesse Ventura.
You're bleeding, man.
I ain't got time to bleed.
And it dropped into theaters on June 12th.
Get to the chopper!
The film, which taught us all,
if it bleeds, we can kill it,
features the Muscles from Brussels as the leader of a squad of commandos forced to battle with a nearly invisible alien hunter in a Central American jungle. A massive box office success, it would spawn 6 film sequels, including 2 crossovers with the Alien franchise. After the lukewarm reception of 2018's The Predator, it seemed like the franchise had finally been defeated. But on August 5th, 2022, Hulu proved you can't keep a good monster down when it released Prey.
If it bleeds, we can kill it.
Set in colonial America of 1719, it stars Amber Midthunder as a young Comanche woman who finds herself protecting her people from another alien hunter. A hit with critics and audiences, it breathed new life into the franchise. And sadly, on June 22nd, film legend Fred Astaire died of pneumonia at the age of 88. One of the world's most famous and influential dancers, Astaire was known for his many collaborations with Ginger Rogers, which included classic films like Top Hat, Swing Time, and Shall We Dance. The recipient of an honorary Academy Award for life's work, Astaire is often considered the greatest popular music dancer of all time.
I really have had such a marvelous time. I don't know how to start or how to finish, and I haven't had one drink.
On June 24th, Mel Brooks made the jump to ludicrous speed with the release of Spaceballs. The Star Wars parody features Bill Pullman as Lone Star.
I'm learning what? From this guy.
Get up there and go to work.
A smuggler who must seek out an alien called Yogurt.
Merchandising, merchandising, where the real money from the movie is made. Baseball's the flamethrower.
And become wise in the ways of the mystical Schwartz.
And I see your Schwartz is as big as mine.
So he can do battle with Rick Moranis' evil Dark Helmet. It received a lukewarm reception, but became a hit on home video. And a joke about
Spaceballs 2, the search for more money,
turned out to be prophetic, as the film actually has a sequel in production as of September 2025.
We asked, what do the fans want? But instead, we're making this movie.
The Vietnam War era boot camp story Full Metal Jacket was directed by the legendary Stanley Kubrick and was released on June 26th. The movie stars Matthew Modine as a Marine Corps trainee called Joker, but is perhaps better remembered for Vincent D'Onofrio's turn as the unstable Private Pyle.
Are those live rounds? 7.62 millimeter. Full metal jacket.
and R. Lee Ermey's tour de force performance as the harsh drill instructor, Gunnery Sergeant Hartman.
He was a drill instructor in real life. You know, this guy did 3 tours in Vietnam. He went back twice.
Is this realistic? I mean, when you look at the movie, is that?
It's very realistic. When somebody hires me to do technical advice, I like technical advice because I like putting the realism in there.
A hit with both critics and audiences, Full Metal Jacket would turn out to be the last of Kubrick's films to be released before his death in 1999.
Dead or alive, you are coming with me.
RoboCop, released July 17th, was part man, part machine, and all cop.
Book him.
Directed by Paul Verhoeven, and starring Peter Weller as the titular hero.
No matter how sophisticated our society gets, no matter how futuristic it becomes, there's still going to be the beat cop.
RoboCop is widely considered one of the best action films of the 1980s. A hyper-violent commentary on Reaganomics and corporate greed, the movie launched a franchise that grew to include 2 sequels, a Saturday morning cartoon, a live-action television drama, and a slew of video games and comic books. And we'd buy that for $1. The Lost Boys landed in theaters on July 31st and followed 2 teenage brothers who find themselves in the orbit of a gang of youthful vampires.
My own brother, a goddamn sucking vampire. Will you wait till Mom finds out?
The first of 3 films to star the 2 Coreys, Feldman and Haim.
Garlic don't work, boys. Try holy water, death breath.
And also featured Kiefer Sutherland, Jason Patric, and a weird shirtless guy who plays the sax. A hit with critics and audiences.
Death by stereo.
The horror comedy is widely credited with bringing a younger, sexier vibe to the vampire genre, inspiring media from Buffy the Vampire Slayer to Twilight. And speaking of teenagers and monsters, The Monster Squad, an early work of screenwriter Shane Black, was released on August 14th. The film told the tale of a gang of kids who become the world's last line of defense against Dracula and other monsters made famous in classic Universal horror films.
Hey guys, get over here, he's great!
Despite positive reviews, the movie, which taught us all that
Wolfman's got nards,
was overshadowed by The Lost Boys and tanked at the box office.
Meeting adjourned.
Dirty Dancing hit theaters in 1987. The 1960s set film starred Jennifer Grey as Frances Baby Houseman, a young woman who falls in love with a cool dance instructor named Johnny Castle, while staying at a vacation resort with her family. Powered by the hit song, I've Had the Time of My Life, the film was a box office juggernaut.
Nobody puts baby in a corner.
Which made a sex symbol out of Patrick Swayze and launched a franchise that includes a TV series, a prequel film, a stage adaptation, a remake, and allegedly another sequel coming in 2025.
I would like people to start dancing like that again, maybe get together and take classes together, and then go to the clubs on the weekends. Very like old-fashioned and romantic.
When Hellraiser hit theaters on September 10th, its main antagonist, played by Doug Bradley, was called Lead Cenobite, but audiences called him Pinhead, and that's the name that stuck. Directed by Clive Barker and based on one of his novellas, the supernatural horror film's story revolved around the weird, mystical Le Marchand box and an extra-dimensional race called the Cenobites.
You opened it. We came.
It's just a puzzle box!
Oh no. It is a means to summon us.
It was a hit with critics and audiences, turning Pinhead into a horror movie icon, the equal of Jason Voorhees, Freddy Krueger, or Michael Myers.
Bob Keane's team and myself have gone out of the way to design monsters which are not going to really resemble anything that would have been seen before.
Nobody expected the guy who directed Flashdance to also direct the scariest movie of the 1980s. But then, Fatal Attraction was released on September 18th.
Haven't we met somewhere before?
The film, which starred Michael Douglas and Glenn Close, followed an attorney who cheats on his wife, only to find himself and his family being stalked by the former object of his affection.
I just want to be a part of your life.
Oh, this is the way you do it, huh? Showing up at my apartment?
I'm not going to be ignored, Dad.
Despite going to extremes to alienate people who love rabbits,
I boiled the rabbit.
I would very much like to go home now.
Fatal Attraction became the second highest grossing movie of the year and a bona fide pop culture phenomenon.
Hello, my name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die.
Directed by Rob Reiner, The Princess Bride hit theaters on September 25th. Based on a novel by legendary screenwriter William Goldman, The film tells the tale of a swashbuckling farmhand named Wesley.
As you wish.
And his quest to save his true love, Buttercup, from marrying the dastardly Prince Humperdinck. The endlessly quotable film was a modest success at the box office.
You the Miracle Max who worked for the king all those years?
The king's stinking son fired me, and thank you so much for bringing up such a painful subject. While you're at it, why don't you give me a nice paper cut and pour lemon juice on it? We're closed!
But thanks to memorable turns by Billy Crystal, Carol Kane, Mandy Patinkin, Christopher Guest, Wallace Shaw, Andre the Giant, Peter Falk, and Fred Savage, it found its audience on home video, eventually growing into a bona fide classic.
Hold it. What is this? Are you trying to trick me?
Based on a book by Stephen King, The Running Man debuted in theaters on November 13th. The film, which was quite different from its source material, starred Arnold Schwarzenegger as a military officer in a futuristic dystopia who is forced to compete on a sadistic game show after being falsely accused of a massacre. The movie, which would later be found to have ripped off the 1983 French film Le Prix du Danger, received mixed reviews and was a modest box office success.
I'll be back. Only in a rerun.
And he was kind of right. On February 19, 2021, Paramount announced it was remaking the film, with Glenn Powell playing Richards and Edgar Wright directing. The remake, which is alleged to be far more faithful to the original novel, is due to drop on November 7, 2025.
I know you, don't I?
You stole my cab.
I've never stole anything in my life.
Planes, Trains, and Automobiles was written and directed by the legendary John Hughes.
What was it like to work with the older generation for the first time?
I have to ask their mother if I could get one more close-up. That's part of it. We were able to play poker between takes.
The film followed Neil Page and Del Griffith, played respectively by Steve Martin and John Candy, as two men who traveled together for 3 days while trying to get Page home for Thanksgiving.
$6 and my right nut says we're not landing in Chicago.
The film was a critical and box office success, and thanks to an especially tender performance by Candy, has earned a reputation as one of the few genuine Thanksgiving movies.
I like me. My wife likes me. My customers like me. Because I'm the real article. What you see is what you get.
The Vietnam War wasn't exactly known for being funny, but that didn't stop Robin Williams from sending it up in the comedy classic
Good morning, Vietnam!
released December 23rd.
Hey, is it a little too early for being that loud? Hey, too late. It's 0600. What's the O stand for? Oh my God, it's early.
Loosely based on the life story of military DJ Adrian Cronauer, the film starred Williams as a radio host who bucks authority at every turn and buoys the demoralized troops by making them laugh and playing rock and roll.
Here's a little James Brown coming your way.
Williams improvised most of his comedy in the mega-hit film, making it little wonder that he was nominated for a Best Actor Oscar for his performance.
Tom, while being a very nice guy, is the devil.
He will be attractive, he'll be nice and helpful, he'll get a job where he influences a great God-fearing nation. He'll just bit by little bit lower our standards where they're important. Flash over substance.
Broadcast News was released on December 16th, and it was written and directed by James L. Brooks, the guy who hired cartoonist Matt Groening to create The Simpsons. The film, which stars Holly Hunter, Albert Brooks, and William Hurt, follows a television news producer who's romantically torn between her brilliant but grating reporter colleague and the station's charismatic, albeit not too bright, anchorman.
You knew just when to feed me the next line. There was like a rhythm we got into. It was like great sex.
Embraced by critics and audiences alike, his brilliant commentary on the increasingly entertainment-driven nature of television news would score 7 nominations at the 1988 Academy Awards.
Big finish!
I got chills.
As theaters let the first customers in to see colors, they were taking no chances. Extra security was on hand at movie houses across South Florida. IDs are being demanded of anyone suspected of being under 17 trying to see the R-rated movie.
I feel discriminated because we know about gangs too. There's nothing wrong with that.
1988 was the year Tom Cruise learned how to make a cocktail, Arnold Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito found out they were twins, and Steve Martin and Michael Caine were revealed to be dirty, rotten scoundrels. Meanwhile, Emilio Estevez led a pack of young guns, Kevin Costner joined the Durham Bulls, and we all learned that the guy who played Beetlejuice was gonna be Batman.
It's showtime.
We're taking you through all of the best movie-related news and events of the 1980s. This is Timeline Movies. Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker. This one is about 1988. Now, are you ready to find out what was going on in movies the year everyone stopped worrying and decided to be happy because of that annoying Bobby McFerrin song?
Yep, yep, yep.
The Rolling Stones can't get no satisfaction, but Justine Bateman and Liam Neeson can in the comedy Satisfaction, released February 12th. The largely forgotten flick about an all-girl rock band from Baltimore was a poorly reviewed box office flop. Even so, it's still remembered today for being the big screen debut of Pretty Woman star Julia Roberts, who played the band's bassist, Daryl.
I think I'm in love all over again.
Roberts would get another, arguably better, chance to show off her talents in Mystic Pizza, released in October, but her celebrated career started with Satisfaction.
Orange beetle, beetle fruit, beetle juice.
I'm the ghost with the most, babe.
Beetlejuice hit theaters on March 30th, and it was the first feature film that really let director Tim Burton show off his goth side. The bizarre dark comedy features Alec Baldwin and Geena Davis as a ghostly couple trapped in their house with the family that purchased it subsequent to their deaths.
God.
We just have to pray the other closets are bigger than this one.
They bond with the family's goth daughter, Lydia, played by Winona Ryder,
God, you guys really are dead.
but can't quite get along with her parents, leading them to unleash the titular freelance bioexorcist, played by Michael Keaton.
Can you be scary?
What do you think of this?
Despite mixed reviews, the film was a box office hit. In the 90s, two potential Beetlejuice follow-ups, entitled Beetlejuice in Love and Beetlejuice Goes Hawaiian, were written. Neither, however, was greenlit, and the sequel, Beetlejuice, wouldn't land until September 6, 2024. The film features Keaton and Ryder returning to their original roles alongside newcomers like Jenny Ortega, and it follows the adult Lydia protecting her daughter from her old enemy. It was a massive success, but Tim Burton has largely dismissed the idea of another installment.
I want my Oscar. I'll give you 10 seconds to comply.
It's safe to continue giving the award now.
Hosted by Chevy Chase, the 60th Academy Awards was held on April 11th. Winners included Best Supporting Actor Sean Connery for The Untouchables, Best Supporting Actress Olympia Dukakis, and Best Actress Cher, both for Moonstruck.
I would like to thank Mary Louise Streep, who I feel so unbelievable that I did my first movie with her, and now I was nominated with her, and I feel really thankful.
And Best Actor Michael Douglas for Wall Street. But the big winner for the night was
Bernardo Bertolucci for The Last Emperor,
which won Best Director for Bernardo Bertolucci, as well as Best Picture. My Neighbor Totoro is an animated film written and directed by the legendary Hayao Miyazaki, and it was released on April 16th. The movie follows two young girls who befriend a series of Shinto wood spirits after moving to the country with their father to be near their ailing mother.
What are you drawing, Meg? It's a big Totoro.
Now available in its original Japanese as well as two separate English dubs.
I'd love to see what your voice, what character you're playing. I love what you look like and what your voice matches. And your dress and what you wear.
It's widely considered one of the greatest animated films of all time. Most amazing of all, it was released the same day as Ghibli's highly acclaimed Grave of the Fireflies, making 1988 a heck of a year for the studio. Willow, which debuted on May 20th, is what you'd get if you combined Star Wars with Lord of the Rings. The George Lucas-produced, Ron Howard-directed adventure stars Wicked actor Warwick Davis as a hobbit-like man named Willow, who is tasked with escorting a baby back to the world of humans.
And which way do we go? That way!
Despite Val Kilmer's memorable turn as the daring swordsman Mad Mardigan, reviewers were less than enthusiastic. Nonetheless, it was a box office success. It was also the first film to utilize Industrial Light and Magic's improved digital morphing software, which would later create effects for movies like Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade and Terminator 2: Judgment Day.
This is the very first test we did to sort of prove the system, to try out our input scanner, our output device, our computer transformation software, prove that if we do it in one frame, we can certainly do it in a lot of frames.
Originally, the movie I agreed to do, Josh, the 12-year-old, he gets his wish, and he becomes big, but he just stays in junior high school.
119.
Give it to me. You better give it to me. You better. Look how big I am. Look how big I am. One with sauerkraut, please.
The Tom Hanks comedy Big was released June 3rd. While technically not a body swap movie,
I'm 13 years old.
Oh, and who isn't?
You think that there isn't a frightened kid inside of me, too?
The Penny Marshall-directed flick is widely considered the best of the mini-wave of such films, which included All of Me, Like Father, Like Son, 18 Again, Vice Versa, and Dream a Little Dream.
There's a million robots that turn into something. And this is a building that turned into a robot. What's fun about playing with a building? That's not any fun.
A box office smash, Big earned Hanks an Oscar nomination. Pretty impressive considering he was only cast after Harrison Ford, Robert De Niro, Kevin Costner, Steve Guttenberg, Warren Beatty, Dennis Quaid, Matthew Modine, and Jeff Bridges all passed on the movie.
No two can resist the old shave and a haircut. Shave and a haircut.
Who Framed Roger Rabbit was a mystery/comedy set in an alternate reality where humans exist side by side with living cartoon characters.
I always knew I'd get it in Toontown.
Behind you!
Directed by Robert Zemeckis and executive produced by Steven Spielberg, the film follows private detective Eddie Valiant as he tries to exonerate the titular Toon from murder charges.
Please, Daddy, don't tell me you're making a big mistake. I didn't kill anybody. I swear.
The groundbreaking movie, which was very loosely based on Gary K. Wolfe's novel Who Censored Roger Rabbit, featured Bob Hoskins, Christopher Lloyd, Charles Fleischer, and Kathleen Turner.
Kids love it, but adults like it too because it has a lot of double entendre.
Nice movie, Trent.
And it finished up as the second highest grosser of the year. Released June 29th, Coming to America starred Eddie Murphy as Prince Akeem of Zamunda, who travels to Queens, New York in search of a bride.
Can you make my hair look like this?
Hey, what do you want to make your hair look like that for?
I'm trying to gain the interest of a certain young lady.
The surprisingly heartfelt film featured Murphy and Arsenio Hall in multiple roles.
And I want to tear you apart. And your friend, too.
As well as cameos by Don Amici and Ralph Bellamy, reprising their roles as the Duke brothers from 1983's Trading Places.
Mortimer, we're back.
With critics and moviegoers, it spawned a sequel, which was released on Amazon Prime in 2021.
He's an easy guy to like and a hard man to kill.
Welcome to the party, pal.
Die Hard was released July 15th, and action movies would never be the same. At a time when most action heroes were as invincible as superheroes,
Wait, what?
Die Hard followed everyman John McClane, a New York police detective visiting LA to reconcile with his estranged wife.
What does he think he's doing?
His job.
After a number of stars passed on the film, the lead went to moonlighting star Bruce Willis, who became an instant A-lister for headlining what is now often cited as the greatest action film of all time. As for whether it's a Christmas movie, well, let's not go there.
Got invited to the Christmas party by mistake.
Released July 15th, A Fish Called Wanda is a heist comedy written by and starring Monty Python's John Cleese. It follows a gang of thieves who turn on each other in the wake of a heist.
Are you totally deranged?
All right, I apologize.
Really sorry.
I'm really, really sorry. I apologize unreservedly.
But the main attraction is the hilarious performances by Cleese, Jamie Lee Curtis, Michael Palin, and Kevin Kline.
Jamie Lee, how did you get on with these talented men that surround you in this whole film?
Well, because I'm totally untalented, it was very difficult.
Wanda received Oscar nominations for Best Director, Original Screenplay, and Supporting Actor for Kline, which he won. In 1997, the cast reunited for the spiritual sequel, Fierce Creatures, but it wasn't nearly as successful. Directed by Katsuhiro Otomo and loosely based on his manga of the same name, the animated cyberpunk action film Akira was released July 16th. The film takes place in a dystopian 2019 and follows the leader of a teenage biker gang who finds himself at odds with his best friend, who was granted telekinetic powers by a secret military experiment. Despite intense violence, the film received positive reviews. It is now regarded as one of the greatest animated films in history and is often credited with popularizing anime outside of Japan. Buddy action comedies are a dime a dozen, but Midnight Run, released July 20th, is among the best. The film stars Robert De Niro as a bounty hunter tasked with escorting a bail-jumping accountant, played by Charles Grodin, from New York to LA.
You get yourself a new watch.
Tell you when I know you better.
You know me better. When are you going to get to know me better? I'll get to know you better. You're not going to get to know me better.
Shut up.
But what should have been an easy midnight run turns into a harrowing adventure when they find the mob, the FBI, and even another bounty hunter on their tails. Surprisingly poignant for an action film, Midnight Run turned out to be a hit with critics and audiences.
Looking at those two actors working together is a revelation, and they both have a lot of important moments where they don't say anything. Their eyes do the talking.
2 thumbs up for Midnight Run, starring Robert De Niro and Charles Grodin.
Most people wouldn't expect the writer and director of Taxi Driver to tackle the story of Jesus. But most people aren't Martin Scorsese and Paul Schrader. Last Temptation stars Willem Dafoe as the titular character and depicts his struggles with temptation in various forms.
I'm not inviting you to a celebration. I'm inviting you to a war.
The movie proved no less controversial than the 1955 novel that spawned it, resulting in protests, local bans, death threats for its director,
Where do you stand on the Last Temptation of Christ?
and even a terrorist attack at a Paris theater that was screening it. The hosted horror movie TV series, Elvira's Movie Macabre, premiered in 1981 and starred Cassandra Peterson as the bawdy Elvira, a character based on the 1950s horror movie host, Vampira.
Oh, it's all really mean. There's a kind of a cast iron sort of industrial strength bra that's in there, pretty uncomfortable. And corset type thing, it really squishes me in. It's all me just squeezed into different places.
A movie became inevitable, and that movie, Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, was released on September 30th. Peterson asked Tim Burton to direct, but he was busy with Beetlejuice. And Elvira's film, which found the goth outsider clashing with the residents of a prudish Massachusetts town, bombed.
Did you think you could stop me with your toys?
No, but I figured it'd be worth a shot. Look!
Thanks, however, to Peterson's internet popularity, it has seen something of a reevaluation in recent years.
Till then, this is Elvira, the gal who put the boob back in the boob tube.
They Live was released on November 4th, and while director John Carpenter wanted Kurt Russell in the lead, a scheduling conflict left him casting professional wrestler Rowdy Roddy Piper. The subversive horror film follows a drifter who finds a pair of sunglasses which reveal a subliminal alien conspiracy designed to get people to consume and submit to authority.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass, and I'm all out of bubblegum.
The film, which Carpenter considered a rebuke to consumer culture and the policies of Ronald Reagan, received mixed reviews and disappointed at the box office.
All the things that everybody strives for in America basically are created by this race of inhuman creatures that really just want to exploit us like a third world.
You can have a little taste of that good life, too. I know you want it.
Hi, I'm Chucky, and I'm your friend to the end.
Child's Play debuted November 9th and instantly lodged itself in the nightmares of everyone who ever owned a creepy doll. Directed by Tom Holland, the same guy who helmed Fright Night, the film tells the tale of a widowed mother who unknowingly buys her son a trendy Chucky doll that's inhabited by the soul of a serial killer. Child's Play was loosely inspired by the craze over Cabbage Patch Kids, and Chucky himself was modeled on the popular My Buddy doll line. It drew surprisingly positive reviews, spawned 6 sequels, a television series, and a 2019 reboot.
We're friends to the end, remember?
This is the end, friend.
The coming-of-age dramedy, Cinema Paradiso, was written and directed by Giuseppe Tornatore, and it was released November 17th. Set in Sicily, the film, which boasts a score co-composed by the legendary Ennio Morricone, focuses on a movie director who returns to his hometown for the funeral of his childhood friend, a local movie projectionist.
Qualunque cosa farai, amala. Come amavi la cabina del paradiso.
A hit in theaters, it was showered with awards, including an Oscar for Best Foreign Language Film, and is now frequently cited as one of the greatest movies ever made. Directed by Don Bluth and executive produced by Steven Spielberg, The Land Before Time hit theaters on November 18th. Set in prehistoric times, the film, which was modeled on Bambi, follows a young Apatosaurus named Littlefoot, who is left alone after his mother dies defending him from a T-Rex.
Don't step on a crack or you'll fall and break your back.
Met with mostly positive reviews, The Land Before Time became a franchise that grew to include a whopping 13 direct-to-video sequels, as well as a television series and video game. After the failure of 1984's The Razor's Edge, Bill Murray didn't star in a movie for 4 years. But on November 23rd, that drought came to an end with Scrooged.
I'm back.
A reimagining of A Christmas Carol, the movie follows Frank Cross, a cynical TV executive who finds himself being Scrooged by three ghosts on Christmas Eve.
Don't waste your life as I did mine.
Waste? How can you say that? You're a legend in this business. You're the man who invented the miniseries.
Mankind should have been my business.
Co-starring Karen Allen and packed with cameo appearances from the likes of Bobcat Goldthwait, Carol Kane, and the New York Dolls' own David Johansen. The film was a modest success, which later grew into a bona fide holiday classic. After the success of 1980's Airplane, Jerry Zucker, Jim Abrahams, and David Zucker tried their hand at television, creating the 1982 show Police Squad. A parody of police procedurals, the series starred Leslie Nielsen as Lieutenant Frank Drebin, but lasted just 6 episodes. Nonetheless, the producers decided to bring Drebin to the big screen in The Naked Gun, from the files of Police Squad, released December 2nd.
Nice beaver.
Thank you. I just had it stuffed.
Let me help you with that.
A box office hit that was showered with critical acclaim, it is now considered one of the funniest movies of all time. In 1994, after 2 successful sequels, Zucker, Abrahams, and Zucker pulled the plug on the Naked Gun film series. But on August 1st, 2025, the world met Frank Drebin Jr. in The Naked Gun, a sequel produced by Family Guy's Seth MacFarlane and directed by The Lonely Island's Akiva Schaffer. Drebin Jr. was played by Schindler's List star Liam Neeson, and like the original, it was greeted by positive reviews and enthusiastic audiences. Written, directed by, and starring In Living Color creator Keenan Ivory Wayans, I'm Gonna Get You, Sucka hit theaters on December 14th. The movie follows soldier Jack Spade.
I'm a soldier, man. I've been trained for combat.
Who returns to his home in any ghetto to avenge the death of his brother, who overdosed on gold chains. A parody of blaxploitation films, I'm Gonna Get You, Sucka featured several icons of the genre, including Jim Brown, Bernie Casey, Isaac Hayes, and Antonio Fargas. It received mixed reviews, but was enough of a success to spawn a failed television pilot. The #1 grossing film of 1988 was Rain Man, released December 16th. The film stars Tom Cruise as Charlie Babbitt, a slick but selfish businessman who learns his late father left his $1 million estate to his other son, an autistic man named Raymond, played by Dustin Hoffman, who Charlie didn't even know existed.
You know this car?
I know this car. Dad lets me drive slow on the driveway, but not on Monday. Definitely not on Monday.
A smash hit with critics and audiences, Rain Man would go on to win 4 Academy Awards, including Best Director for Barry Levinson, Best Actor for Dustin Hoffman, Best Original Screenplay, and Best Picture.
Uh-oh, fart.
Yeah, Charlie Babbitt, I'll hold.
Fart.
It's like the last time. Sorry, it's been a long 3 days. About a sushi in Japan.
Finally, the romantic comedy Working Girl debuted on December 20th. The film stars Melanie Griffith as a secretary who sees her new boss, played by Sigourney Weaver, take credit for her valuable business idea. When that boss gets laid up with a broken leg, the secretary turns the table by assuming the boss's job, and along the way, falls in love with a dashing businessman played by Harrison Ford.
I have a head for business and a bod for sin. Is there anything wrong with that?
No. Powered by Carly Simon's hit song, Let the River Run, Working Girl was a critically acclaimed hit that earned 6 Oscar nominations.
Bill and Ted proudly present the Watch and Win Trivia Game. Just dial 1-900-988-DUDE. You'll be eligible for a chance to score
skateboard, Revision Sports, Sony VCR, designer Bill and Ted t-shirts.
In 1989, Tom Hanks moved to the burbs. The Ghostbusters took on Vigo, and Dennis Quaid showed off his great balls of fire. But it's also the year Marty McFly visited the future, Sean Connery became Indiana Jones's dad, River Phoenix became young Indy himself, and William Shatner almost destroyed the Star Trek franchise by trying to direct one of the movies.
What does God need with a starship?
We're taking you through all of the best movie-related news and events of the 1980s. This is Timeline Movies. Get ready to dance with the devil in the pale moonlight, because this is about 1989. Now, are you ready to find out what was going on in movies the year the Berlin Wall came down?
Ray.
Be gone. Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure was shot in 1987 for a 1988 release, but after its distributor went bankrupt, it was shelved until a new one could be found.
Strange things are afoot at the Circle K.
Finally released on February 17th, The movie follows two California slackers using a time-traveling phone booth to collect historical figures in an attempt to pass their high school history class.
Put them in the Iron Maiden.
Iron Maiden? Excellent!
The eminently quotable movie, which stars Keanu Reeves, Alex Winter, and George Carlin, performed well at the box office and spawned 2 sequels.
Party, dude! It's the kind of movie that girls will like because they're adorable.
The Adventures of Baron Munchausen was written and directed by Monty Python's Terry Gilliam, and it was released on March 10th.
Well, I've never worked for him before, and I won't be back. He's crazy. He's a total madman, really. And I guess only he could get it done.
The bizarre fantasy adventure, which stars John Neville as the fictional German nobleman, first created for the 1785 book Baron Munchausen's narrative of his marvelous travels and campaigns in Russia, used gorgeous special effects to realize the Baron's tall tales. Despite positive reviews, 4 Oscar nominations, and an uncredited cameo by Robin Williams, the movie was a box office bomb.
Being up here with a man who has been on the Oscar show 26 times and never won.
What are you going to do with it? Not that I haven't begged, I'll tell you that. I've been on my knees more often than Billy Swaggart.
And March 29th brought the 61st Academy Awards, which had no host.
In the past years, there have been hosts, but this year we're going to try something new.
But did start with a controversial opening number that featured Rob Lowe dancing with Snow White. Winners included Best Supporting Actor Kevin Kline for A Fish Called Wanda, Best Supporting Actress Gina Davis for The Accidental Tourist, and Best Actress Jodie Foster for The Accused. But the real winner of the night was
Rain Man, Mark Johnson producer.
which earned Best Actor for Dustin Hoffman, Best Director for Barry Levinson, and Best Picture. Widely regarded as one of the greatest sports movies of all time, Major League hit theaters on April 7th. Directed by David S. Ward, the guy who wrote The Sting, the film stars Tom Berenger, Charlie Sheen, and Wesley Snipes as mediocre baseball players drafted by the Cleveland Indians as part of a plan to lose enough games to relocate the team.
We're a Major League Baseball team.
Since we haven't won a pennant in over 30 years, nobody recognizes us.
Interestingly, the scene of Sheen's character entering a game to Wild Thing is responsible for popularizing the now ubiquitous walk-on music every ball player uses, which was a rarity prior to the release of this film.
The American Express card. Don't steal home without it.
Cameron Crowe's romantic teen dramedy, Say Anything, was released on April 14th.
It's not about a 15-year-old guy that has 20 beautiful girls that help him lose his virginity.
I just didn't think it was a teen film either. I thought it was more about this character and what he goes through and a real kind of honest love story.
Now considered one of the best high school movies of the 80s, it's remembered for a scene in which John Cusack's character woos Ione Skye's character by holding a boombox over his head and blasting Peter Gabriel's In Your Eyes. The song was originally supposed to be A Girl Like You, written specifically for the film by the Smithereens, but it spoiled the plot, so Crowe opted for the Gabriel song instead. The scene became so iconic that in 2012, Cusack would join Gabriel on stage at the Hollywood Bowl as he played the song, handing him a boombox as the crowd cheered.
Italian film director Sergio Leone died of a heart attack in Rome today at the age of 60.
Leone was the guiding force behind those spaghetti westerns of the 60s, which made actor Clint Eastwood an international star.
Tragically, on April 30th, legendary director Sergio Leone died of a heart attack at his home in Rome, Italy. Known for films like Fistful of Dollars, For a Few Dollars More, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, Once Upon a Time in the West, and Once Upon a Time in America, Leone is now considered one of the most important and influential voices of the spaghetti western genre, and one of the greatest filmmakers in history.
Good evening. It's our 500th show, so we've left our balcony and we're appearing in front of a live audience for the very first time.
What if they don't like us?
Gene Siskel and Robert Ebert started reviewing movies together on a PBS show in 1975. Before jumping to the syndicated Sneak Previews in 1977, which became At the Movies in 1982, and finally Siskel and Ebert at the Movies in 1986. And on April 30th, 1989, they celebrated their 500th episode together with their first ever live show, shot in front of an audience at Disney World's Disney MGM Studios in Orlando, Florida. The shows featured highlight clips from their past reviews and the two stars doing what they do best, talking about movies. Thumbs up to that. If you release Field of Dreams, they will come. And they did. The sports fantasy drama about a farmer who plows up his cornfield and builds a baseball field for the ghost of shoeless Joe Jackson dropped on May 5th and touched the heart of anyone who ever had a catch with their dad.
People will come, Ray.
people will most definitely come.
The critically lauded film, which featured memorable turns from Kevin Costner, James Earl Jones, and Ray Liotta, went the distance, earning 3 Academy Award nominations, including one for Best Picture. The third feature film from director Spike Lee, Do the Right Thing, hit theaters on May 19th.
You almost knocked me down, man. The word is excuse me. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Who told you to step on my sneakers? Who told you to walk on my side of the block? Who told you to be in my neighborhood?
Boasting a cast including Lee himself, Danny Aiello, Ozzie Davis, John Turturro, Samuel L. Jackson, and Giancarlo Esposito, the movie examines racial tensions between the black and Italian residents of a Brooklyn neighborhood.
Hey, Sal, how come you got no brothers on the wall here?
You want brothers on the wall? Get your own place. You can do what you want to do.
My father is Italian, my mother's black. I was born in Italy. And when I went to school, I wasn't accepted by blacks because my name was Giancarlo Esposito. You know, so I think this film is showing us that we all have this problem somewhere.
Now frequently cited as one of the best movies ever made, Do the Right Thing, which featured the screen debuts of Rosie Perez and Martin Lawrence, earned Academy Award nominations for Lee's screenplay and Aiello's performance. Roadhouse was released on May 19th. And while it wasn't much of a hit with critics, it's not really the kind of movie people see for the reviews.
Sorry, we're closed. Well, then what are all these people doing here? Drinking and having a good time. Well, that's why we're here. You're too stupid to have a good time.
The film follows a bar bouncer from New York who finds himself squaring off with a crime lord after he moves to Missouri to take charge of security at a notoriously rough roadhouse. Thanks mostly to Swayze's charismatic performance, the movie made bank at the box office and on home video, spawning a 2006 Swayze-less sequel, a 2024 remake, and, amazingly enough, an off-Broadway play.
We don't read and write poetry because it's cute. We read and write poetry because we are members of the human race, and the human race is filled with passion.
If you ever had the urge to stand up on your desk at school and shout, "Oh, Captain, my Captain," it's probably because you saw Dead Poets Society, released June 2nd. The coming-of-age drama follows a boarding school teacher who uses poetry to teach students that there's more to life than obeying authority figures.
Seize the day. Gather ye rosebuds while ye may. Because we are food for worms, lads.
Despite a downer ending, the film was a massive hit that resulted in Oscar nominations for Best Director, Best Picture, and for Robin Williams' compelling performance as the teacher, a role originally written for Liam Neeson.
You a Heather?
No, I'm a Veronica.
Heathers was a black comedy about 2 high school kids killing off their abusive peers, and it premiered on June 21st.
I love my dead gay son.
Written by Daniel Waters, who would later pen Batman Returns, Heathers was intended to be a satirical response to the type of teen movies that John Hughes is generally associated with. It received mixed reviews, but thanks to its incredibly dark sense of humor and iconic performances from Winona Ryder and Christian Slater, it's now considered one of the decade's most influential coming-of-age films.
Heather, my love, there's a new sheriff in town.
Thanks to the Adam West TV show, there was a time Batman was considered campy, but that changed with the release of Tim Burton's Batman on June 23rd. The film, which starred Michael Keaton as the Dark Knight,
I'm Batman,
and Jack Nicholson as the Joker,
wait till they get a load of me.
took its subject matter seriously,
Now you want to get nuts? Come on, let's get nuts.
revitalizing Batman's reputation and setting the mold for superhero films for the decades to come. Well-reviewed and popular with audiences, it turned its hero into a cultural phenomenon, finishing its run as the highest-grossing movie of 1989. 1989 was a big year for Rick Moranis, who reprised his role as Louis Tully in Ghostbusters 2 and starred in Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, released June 23rd. The film, which follows a scientist who accidentally shrinks his kids and their friends, was originally written with Chevy Chase in mind, but he was too busy filming National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. Directed by Joe Johnston, who would later helm The Rocketeer, Jumanji, and Captain America: The First Avenger, the movie was successful enough to spawn 2 sequels and a TV series. When Harry Met Sally was written by Nora Ephron and directed by Rob Reiner, and it hit theaters on July 21st.
You had this idea for a movie. 2 people become friends at the end of the first major relationship in each of their lives, and they make a decision not to have sex because it will ruin the friendship, and then they have sex and it ruins the friendship. That's the movie.
Yeah. And it stars Meg Ryan and Billy Crystal, who was only cast after Tom Hanks, Richard Dreyfuss, Michael Keaton, and Albert Brooks all passed on the role of Harry. Loosely based on the experiences of its director, it was a well-reviewed hit upon release and is now considered one of the era's best romantic comedies.
I'll have what she's having.
Weird Al Yankovic is best known for writing song parodies, but he also made a movie called UHF, which was released July 21st.
I don't know the first thing about what goes on at a television station.
Don't worry, Bob. It's just like working in a fish market. Except you don't have to clean and gut fish all day.
The movie is about an unemployed dreamer who winds up in control of a UHF TV station and finds unlikely success through his bizarre programming decisions. It's full of parodies of popular films and songs.
Conan the Librarian, Gandhi 2. No more Mr. Passive Resistance.
But bombed upon release and was then allowed to go out of print on home video. Thanks, however, to its status as a cult classic, it's now widely available on Blu-ray and streaming. And speaking of Weird Al movies, Weird, the Al Yankovic story, stars Daniel Radcliffe as the titular entertainer, and it premiered on September 8, 2022. Given who it's about, it shouldn't be surprising that Weird isn't as much a biopic as it is a parody of biopics, and a brilliant one at that. It also has a stacked cast that includes Evan Rachel Wood, Rainn Wilson, Quinta Brunson, Jack Black, Will Forte, Conan O'Brien, and even a cameo from Weird Al himself.
It's the greatest underwater adventure ever filmed, a love story of shattering impact.
Released August 9th, The Abyss was one of director James Cameron's most unusual and personal projects. Based on a short story he wrote when he was 17, the film follows a U.S. search and rescue recovery team that joins with an oil platform crew to recover a sunken nuclear submarine, only to encounter intelligent alien life forms in the ocean.
We wanted to make a film where they weren't frightening. They weren't the villains. So the design of the NTIs was very important. We wanted them to have an ethereal nature. We wanted them to control water.
Despite a notoriously grueling production that utilized a 7.5 million-gallon shooting tank, the movie drew rave reviews, but still only finished second at the box office in its premiere weekend, behind the Steve Martin comedy Parenthood. The documentary Roger and Me was the directorial debut of Michael Moore, and it hit theaters on September 1st.
Best thing Miss can do and General Motors can do is get rid of Roger Smith and them other son of a...
The titular Roger is former General Motors CEO Roger Smith, and the film examined his decision to close a number of auto plants at Flint, Michigan, along with the economic fallout of those closures. Despite making headlines at the time of its release, Roger and Me was controversially ignored by the Academy at Oscar time. Nonetheless, it launched Moore's lengthy career and was selected for preservation by the Library of Congress in 2013. September 28th, the Sony Corporation of Japan shook up Hollywood by announcing it had struck a deal to acquire Coca-Cola's share of Columbia Pictures for $4.8 billion. At the time, the sale, which included the rights to 23,000 television shows and 2,700 films, including classics like On the Waterfront and hits like Ghostbusters, represented the largest Japanese acquisition of an American company to date. Sony continues to own Columbia to this very day. Released October 13th, Look Who's Talking was a romantic comedy about a single mom raising a baby who talks in a voice that can only be heard by the audience.
Well, he knows he's not tired. Are you tired? No, man, I'm not tired at all.
It starred Kirstie Alley and John Travolta, and it made an astonishing $300 million against its $7 million budget by casting a then red-hot Bruce Willis, fresh off the success of Die Hard, as the voice of the baby.
I think he called you Dada.
No, I'm talking to hear myself speak.
Look Who's Talking. I was very surprised that it did as well as it did.
Willis made $10 million for his voiceover work, but given the results, it was money well spent.
Wow, this is special. This is very, very unusual.
What? What is it?
It's a dingle hopper.
By the late 80s, Disney's reputation had been damaged by a string of mediocre releases. 1986's The Great Mouse Detective was a step in the right direction, but the curse wouldn't be broken until the release of The Little Mermaid on November 17th. The tale of a teenage mermaid who falls in love with a human prince was seen as a long overdue return to form for the studio, and it sparked the creative resurgence now known as the Disney Renaissance. Not bad considering Disney management had originally dismissed it as a girls' film, while assuming their big release for the year would be Oliver and Company. Finally, December 13th brought the release of Driving Miss Daisy. The film, which starred Jessica Tandy and Morgan Freeman, reprising his role from the original off-Broadway production, follows an old Jewish white woman in 1948 Atlanta who shares her life with the black chauffeur her son hired to drive her around. Despite trafficking in stereotypes that were outdated even in the 80s, the heartwarming film became a massive hit and received 9 Oscar nominations, ultimately winning 4, including Best Picture. So what do you think? And what was your fondest movie memory of 1989? Let us know in the comments below. And while you're at it, check out some of these other Timeline videos.